and sucking all the scooters up into the air and then throwing scooters all over the place.
It's Scooternado.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, September 1st, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination Episode 11, 69.
This is No Agenda.
Experiencing the unexpected and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 on the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, I'm still not going to see the movie. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
It's Sunday. He's not inspired. That's great.
And there goes the Zephyr.
Oh,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10 cars. Oh, so there you go. Thank you for that report.
You're welcome.
Yes. All right.
Just in time.
So we both got an experience upgrade with our Skype.
Yeah, we.
I just wanted to say one thing that I don't understand. After that huge upgrade just before the last show,
the giant one.
Yeah, the giant Windows upgrade. So now when I click on, if I open Outlook, which I use for email, any link that I click on, it does not open the browser, does not open this link. I get a dialog box that says, something unexpected went wrong with this URL. And it gives me the URL. And then says, the file or directory is corrupted and unreadable. What the hell is that?
I have no idea. I got it. I've got one.
What did you get?
Okay, mine is, I looked it up too. This started happening after that big upgrade that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So so here's what I do. I've got one of my printer. I got Photoshop or EarthFanView, whatever it is. I go to print, and it immediately prompts me to save the file instead of printing.
Oh, really? And it's not like a PDF printer that's selected or something?
Well, first I thought it was something sketchy, and that just need a reboot because this has been happening.
Yeah, you gotta shut it down, shake it, and then reboot it and see what happens, like an Etch-a-Sketch.
So I rebooted. It didn't change anything. I said, well, let me try Photoshop. I went to Photoshop. Same thing. You hit the print button. It goes, it says, save to file. Okay, well, this is no good. It's
You're
not
saving
printing.
your print spool, no doubt, or something
So I'm
esoteric.
thinking, well, and then I looked it up.
Okay.
This has been happening to a lot of people, but it's happened before. This note was from 2012. Trying to print a document, and the printer prompts to save the file instead of printing. It goes on and says, "Can somebody help?" And the help is bullcrap. There's no help as usual. All these online.
No. When it comes to Windows, there's no help. I just recommend what we always recommend here on the show. Just jiggle the handle a little bit.
So I said, well, this is probably, and one of the solutions was this reinstall the printer drivers. I said,
oh, God.
So I don't want to do that.
No. And now you use the printer a lot. You print a lot of stuff.
I do.
Checks,
so
money.
I wanted to make sure this was phenomenon that was just something to do with the printer. I rebooted it.
Yeah.
So I went to the browser and I said, let me just print a browser page.
Yeah.
Or let me take the document that I was going to print in EarthFanView and just grab it and throw it onto the browser where it's now printable.
Okay.
So I hit the print button on the browser, printed fine.
Huh.
Great.
Microsoft sucks! I get zero fucks!
Jesus.
Because Microsoft sucks!
There you go. There's Fletcher. Exactly. It sucks. Anyway. That's so much for our tech news this morning. Very happy to bring that to you, everybody. That's right. Well, we had another shooting in Texas yesterday. Mass shooting. And
what happened? I never saw this news. I was watching football.
Yeah, well, it was big here, of course. Well, the report that came out first was 2 shooters, one in Odessa, one in Midland. Now, Midland is right to the west of Texas, and Odessa is down the road further to the west of Texas. So the first reports were, 30 shot, 2 different shooters, 2 different cities. Of course, this was not what it turned out to be. And I tuned into, what station was this? It was the Odessa television station.
We know that one person...
Now, these guys are in the mall. where there was no shooting, but they're in the mall. It's one of those setups where you have offices and et cetera. And radio stations used to have that. But I guess this TV station, people can look through the window and see the TV studio.
We know that one person has been taken into custody. That's all we know. We don't know about
also not
a second
true.
person that may have also been involved. There are multiple scenes around town. A lot of people sending us videos of officers here and there. We're just seeing people we're running through the mall right now.
There's something going on over here.
We're not sure what's going on. There are people running through the mall.
Jay, we probably need to go.
Yeah.
We can see this.
Jay, we probably need to get off the air.
Yeah.
Let's go. What's wrong?
So what happened here is
get off the air.
Yeah, people started running past their windows, so they panic.
You want to get them off the air? Okay,
Yes.
we're going to have to. There's something people running through the mall. We're not sure why.
Let's
we need
get
to see
going.
what this is.
Anyway, yeah. So panic everywhere. Now, 5 people did get killed, and we don't know very much about it other than, or at least as of this morning, it was one guy who was pulled over on the road between Midland and Odessa, traffic stop. He gets out, shoots the cop right away, and then drives to Odessa, just shooting people on the highway. And I don't know what weapon he was using. It seems like if you're driving and shooting, a handgun might be easier, but he killed 5 people and wounded at least 20 others.
While driving?
Apparently, and then he stole a mail truck, and that's where they ultimately got him, and they got him in the mail truck, and they shot him dead. So we may never know exactly what was going on. But thank goodness, Beto O'Rourke right away went out to go and politicize everything. So, of course,
it's always about politics.
And yeah, I mean, it's not about these families, these people, the people affected. No, right away, we got to go to politics. And then you do it with a sincere face, like Beto. And then you know what? When you're on CNN, throw in some of your curse words. He's been really good at that lately. And he seems to be gaining traction.
The rhetoric that we've used, the thoughts and prayers that you just referred to, it has done nothing to stop the epidemic of gun violence, to protect our kids, our families.
I'm just going to stop. So people are now bitching and moaning. They've been doing this for a while about, and it's mainly Democrat Twitter yelling at Republican Twitter, and it goes something like this. Oh, what are your thoughts and prayers going to do now? So they're all bitching about this thoughts and prayers. The very same people, when a celebrity dies, will say, R.I.P., love and light. So, it's kind of stupid.
The epidemic of gun violence, to protect our kids, our families, our fellow Americans in public places, at a Walmart in El Paso where 22 were killed, in Sutherland Springs, in a church, 1 or 2 a day, all over this country, 100 killed daily in the United States of America. We're averaging about 300 mass shootings a year.
Mass shootings determined as, 3 or more people hit by gunfire in one incident, I think.
It's a very low standard.
No other country comes close. So, yes, this is fucked up.
Woo!
And if we don't call it out for what it is,
Beto.
On the air?
Oh, yeah, Beto don't care, man. He'll just say whatever he needs to say. He'll just tell you all about it.
I would send in a complaint to the FCC immediately.
yes, this is fucked up. It's close. So, yes, this is fucked up. And if we don't call it out for what it is, if we're not able to speak clearly, if we're not able to act decisively, then we will continue to have this kind of bloodshed in America. And I cannot accept that. And so we're going to speak as defiantly and as strongly as we can, but we're also going to take action. Universal background checks.
So I thought that would be a good ISO for the end of the show.
Yes, this is fucked up.
What do you think? You got something better, maybe?
I don't have any. I didn't find any ISOs. I didn't isolate anything. But I don't like it.
Okay. It's been...
For two, I can give you 10 reasons, but I can give you 2 good ones.
All
One
right.
is Beto O'Rourke.
Stop. 1 reason is enough. What is 2? I don't like the word. I don't like the term.
No, the second one is it makes it sound like that it's a commentary on the show.
I'm sure Beto would say the same thing about our show as he did about the shooting.
Sure he would.
But
he'd love to say that. He'd love to be the guy saying that at the end of our show.
So I just stayed on Beto because he was, and of course this is not far from El Paso. El Paso is just a little bit more west from Odessa. And I'd followed him around, and he's just throwing out a meme fest of ideas. Have a listen.
More than I worry about the politics or the polling, more than I care about what the NRA has to say on this. I care for my kids and this country and people who live in terror every day. People in El Paso, Mexican Americans who say, I feel like I have a target on my back. I'm afraid to go out in public. Kids who thinking about going to school tomorrow, having gone through active shooter drills, already know which bookcase they're going to pull down, which window they're going to jump out of. This is not right, and we should not accept it, and we should be honest with ourselves. Universal background checks will help. Ending the sales of weapons of war will help.
Weapons of war. This is yeah. He's adding
selling
this in.
nukes.
But if millions of them remain on the streets, they will still be instruments of terror.
Instruments of terror, weapons of war, instruments of terror. He should have said tools of terror.
That terrify and terrorize us. And
terrify, terrorize, instruments of terror.
And take our lives.
But what about...
I'm not going to accept that.
Oh, but what about the kind of real world...
Why is he not going to accept? What? We should not accept it. What has it got to do? What is he, the egomaniac?
No, well, El Paso is his town that got shot up, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, well, then why don't you talk about the town? He's talking about him.
Well, it's better. He's better.
Dynamic that USA Today, the editorial board, is putting in there that if you go too far, that it'll kill the whole thing.
This is
about the gun buyback, that he wants to do a mandatory gun buyback, and which, of course, is the definition of infringing and creating a law about the right to bear arms.
Today, the editorial board is putting in there that if you go too far, that it'll kill the whole thing.
This triangulation, calculation, poll testing every move, that's what got us here in the first place. I listened to those students from Parkland, Florida, March for Our Lives. It came out with a bold plan for peace that talks about many of the measures I just described, a national gun registry, licensing for every American who owns a firearm. Use that gun for self-protection, to hunt, to collect, to shoot at target practice, but you don't need an AR-15, an AK-47.
Yeah, I got a question. I keep hearing so AR-15. We all know what that is. It's a semi-automatic rifle that looks very scary. The AK-40,
not necessarily.
I want to focus on the AK-47. This is thrown about very easily. I don't believe these are actual fully automatic AK-47s floating around in the country. Am I wrong about this? I don't
know of anyone who has a fully automatic AK-47.
Well,
I don't know anyone who has an AR-7 or AR-15 that's fully automatic either.
No, but I'm just saying that when you say AK-47, that is the classic Kalashnikov. It's a very simple gun, and it does single shot or automatic. And they just throw that out next to AR-15. But I don't. Is there a market in the U.S.?
I never got the implication that it was a machine gun.
Well, so my question is there a separate line of AK-47s that are single shot only? And I don't believe that exists. And I think an AK-47 is an AK-47, which can be used fully automatic. Anyway, I have no idea. Someone will get back.
I don't believe that to be true because it's illegal to have an automatic.
It's hugely illegal.
That is a weapon of war designed to kill people as efficiently, as effectively, in as great a number as possible. That high impact, high velocity round, it distributes its entire kinetic energy in your body and destroys your insides. We talked to the surgeons who treated the victims in El Paso. Many of them had been on the battlefields in Iraq and Afghanistan. They said these are wounds of war.
Oh, man, he likes the alliteration, doesn't he? Weapons of war, tools of terrorism, wounds of war. Now, this is all horrible.
He's desperate.
No, it's horrible, of course. But I just want to say something to people who listen to our show to get kind of highlights and not be drowning under the dreck that is shoveled on top of you by the mainstream. While horrible and while crap and a super day wrecker, there's probably 5 other people that died in these 2 towns on the same day from for other reasons. And what happens is I pulled up the statistics, 1990 to 2017 of violent crime in the United States. And I know this is an argument that's used all the time, but I just want to add something to it. So in 1990, we were looking at 729 violent crimes per 100,000 people in the United States. And that graph, that goes down to 2017, where we're at 382.9 violent crimes per 100,000 people. And the graph is it's like looking at the Climategate graph in reverse. But what's happened since 1990, or really since 1995, let's give it a fair number, is our access to media has skyrocketed, and the channels that stuff is coming in, it's just everywhere. And what gets focused on is the stuff that scares us. And I think that there was a lot more violent crime going on decades ago, but you didn't hear about it, or you didn't hear about it quickly. There wasn't such an onslaught, and it really is messing up our brains. Even I have, this is a couple mass shootings in Texas, not that far away. So you start to think, and, kids start to think, well, when is it my turn? When I'm just going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time? We're being terrorized, and it's really, I think it's probably getting a 223 shot at you is not healthy, but this is also a slow death for people. It's very, very unhealthy. And I don't know what to do about it, but I just wanted to say we need to put this into perspective, because that's all they focus on is these types of deaths. There's all kinds of things that happen. Bad stuff happens to good people every single day. But we just terrorize everybody, terrorize the kids, terrorize everybody. That's all that they seem to love.
Yeah, they do.
And I think it's mass shootings, air accidents, these kinds of things. They always made the news. But for instance, did you hear about 10 teenagers shot in an Alabama high school football game yesterday? No, of course not. First of all, black, so it doesn't count. Oh, sorry, you're black. We can't, unless it was a white guy shooting you. No. So they don't even focus on that.
Well, it's like I've said this since day one of this show. People moan and groan about all these shootings. They never even talk about Oakland, which is one of the shooting capitals.
Yeah.
People are getting shot all the time.
But it's terrorism. The true tool of terrorism is the M5M. The mainstream media is the tool of terrorism. It's terrorizing our own people.
It's
Now there is something
if
new.
It's red. What is it?
If it leads, it bleeds. Is what you're looking for.
It bleeds. Yeah, there's something like that.
If it bleeds, it leads. Yeah, there we go. As in the lead. So, but now there's a new term that has popped up, which I heard in conjunction with the big town hall in Austin regarding the homelessness situation, the unhoused. And the term is behavioral health. So we have mental health and we have behavioral health. Have you heard of this?
What's the difference?
Well, okay, I can actually, I got an actual answer to that. The article I have here from Alvernia University, behavioral health versus mental health. What's the difference? So behavioral health describes the connection between behaviors and the health and well-being of the body, mind, and spirit. This would include
Does this summarize I should be exercising more? Is that what we're talking about here?
I'm not sure. This would include how behaviors like eating habits, drinking, or exercising impact physical or mental health. However, during the 70s and 80s, behavioral health almost entirely referred to behaviors that prevent illness or that promote health. Later, the term began to include behaviors that help people manage disease. Most recently, behavioral health incorporated mental health. So I'm not quite, that doesn't really explain anything to me, but
say the least.
Yeah. So I was, after the show on Thursday, which I considered going to this big town hall, but A, I was tired, and B, I found out they were going to have it videotaped anyway. And once you see that you have to fill out, 10 pages of forms just to get a question asked, I'm like, no, I'm not going to go there. So I watched all 2 hours. What a shit show. The city of Austin, so we had the mayor, we had I'd say the financial comptroller, we had a representative from APD, from the police department. They had a moderator, so they had a panel of 8 people and one of these hipster moderators, the kind you bring into your company. Now, here's some big rocks, here's some little rocks. Now, what do we put in first, the big rocks or the little rocks? One of those guys? So he was doing the moderation. They also had a community advocate. And so they're talking, and then I just wanted to play this only single clip from this 2-hour session where you can hear the attitude of the city and how they feel about people experiencing homelessness, which, by the way, if they didn't have to use that whole sentence every single time, people experiencing homelessness, it would have taken them only an hour and a half to get through this meeting. It's so cumbersome. Just say people who are homeless. That's a lie, by the way. Experiencing homeless. They're not experiencing, they're homeless. You experience homelessness if you sleep on the street for a day. It's like, and it's not supposed to hurt their feelings. It's going to be a new ride at Disney World. Experience homelessness. We need a theme song. Anyway, just listen to this. This is the community. Well, I think first we'll hear from the guy from Austin Police Department, and we'll get to the community advocate. You'll hear it soon enough.
So, Chris, you're a community advocate. You work directly with homeless. Why do you care about this issue?
Oh, God.
Because homelessness shouldn't exist. Because it's a form of extreme poverty that should not happen in the richest country in the history of human civilization. And I believe that, we have a duty, we have a responsibility as a city and as fellow citizens to make sure that everyone is housed and has what they need ultimately to get by day to day.
So, Chief, you have some thoughts on this maybe? Public safety?
I want to just reinforce the importance of calling us when you see that suspicious behavior, because although we may not be able to take any specific action in that instance, we are a data-driven department. We do collect data on where things are occurring, where crimes are occurring.
Yeah, this is a quick interruption there. Before all this started, they were asking about has there been an increase in crime since the city ordinance was lifted and you can camp anywhere except for in front of City Hall, of course. And the guy from the police department was saying, well, we don't have any data to show that. But what he meant was, we actually don't have any data. We have no data. They have zero data on these past 6 weeks. But that got reported here in Austin as no proof. One of those deals. It's really despicable what they're doing.
I love it.
Safety.
I want to just reinforce the importance of calling us when you see that suspicious behavior, because although we may not be able to take any specific action in that instance, we are a data-driven department. We do collect data on where things are occurring, where crimes are occurring, when it's occurring, and that's how we deploy our officers based on both time and location. So it's important to note when these things are happening.
Matt, you want to say something?
Yeah, I also just want to make sure that we really start to identify what criminal activity means and what it is. People just being in a place because they have nowhere else to be is not a crime. So I think really starting to focus.
Too many people at my own.
So what the lady is screaming here is, if I have too many people at my house, it's against the law. It's considered a party and I have to break it up. But okay, it's all right. These people can do whatever they want. This is the public versus the people running the city on stage.
Being in a place because they have nowhere else to be is not a crime.
Oh, yes.
So I think really starting to focus.
It's hard for me to have too many people at my own house.
Really starting to focus on, no one's up here advocating for people to be able to assault other folks or be able to be aggressive in nature. We wouldn't
now wait for the community advocate.
We wouldn't expect that from our community, from our house community. So we don't expect it from people experiencing homelessness. So we just have to really be able to identify what it is that we're talking about when we discuss criminal activity. If something looks like criminal activity, that's not necessarily mean that it is criminal activity. It's just people living.
So now, hey, they're doing heroin. That's not criminal? Nah, shut up, you in the audience.
All right, let's let our panelists finish. Chris,
I want to push back a little bit on the question as well, because the people that are camping in your neighborhoods are your neighbors too.
Oh, okay.
They live in your neighborhood.
They're my neighbors. Oh yeah, my neighbors.
And I think it's clear that we need to. It's clear that the city needs to. It's clear that the city needs to provide additional resources to help limit the impacts on housed neighbors of camping, which also is going to really help people that are camping currently to live in more sanitary conditions.
Do you notice a trend here? You're not homeless. You're camping. It's completely different. You're a house neighbor of someone who's camping.
Which also is going to really help people that are camping currently to live in more sanitary conditions and be healthier themselves. And so I really do support immediately providing those sorts of things. Trash pickup.
Oh, I pay $35 a month for my trash pickup.
Porta potties and other types of services. But I think it's really important to understand that, people in your neighborhoods are your neighbors.
No.
And I know a lot of folks are feeling victimized by people camping in their neighbors, but almost every single one of those folks would switch places with you if they could. And just to understand that, and that we're all trying to get to a place where we can live together and live together well.
Sad thing is, there's people in the audience who are all in with this jamoke.
Oh, yeah.
Hooting and hollering. Yeah.
I will say this just as an aside. At least the sound was good.
It took a while to find a version with the sound that was good, believe me. And it only had 4 views. No one cares.
I've seen most of these at 4 views.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of these. It's just a shotgun mic on somebody's.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. So a couple things. So this behavioral health, I heard a lot.
Camping is good.
They're not homeless. They are neighbors who are camping.
And neighbors.
And I think the biggest cop out of all, and our mayor uses that a lot, is we all have to work together. You know why? Because when it doesn't work, we didn't all work together. But I know there were certain elements who didn't work together with us. It's like, So anyway, here's a television report.
By the way, before you continue, I want to say, because Mimi's involved in city council work in Port Angeles, welcome to the USA. They're all like this.
The city council specifically, you mean?
Yes. In fact, she's always bitching to me. She says, I don't believe it's any place else. You're in some place. I said, no. I said, they're all like this. They're all second rate. And it's really pathetic because it should be the foundation of the country.
Yes.
But no, it's a bunch of usually egomaniacs and people who run because nobody else wants to run. You have to blame the public at large. And they're all corrupt. It's minor corruption. It's like petty corruption. Yeah. It permeates all the city councils from San Jose to Port Angeles to Duluth, I'm sure. Berkeley.
To Austin.
Absolutely, for Berkeley.
Deep in the heart of Texas. We got this
Austin,
going on.
Texas, one of the fine little capital cities of the world.
Yeah.
It's just, this is it. I don't know what to tell you, and I don't know what you can do about it.
Well, find people who want to run with a better message and support them, I guess, in our district.
I think you have to pay more.
What do you mean pay more?
They don't pay enough money for these people.
$76,000. No, $76,000 every council member is paid.
That's not it. Most places it's next to nothing. Like nothing. In many places, volunteer work.
Yeah, well,
they're getting $76,000 on that city council of Austin, Texas.
Yep, every single member. I looked it up because I wanted to see if it was worth it. It's not. I'm not going to get beaten up. Maybe if I could do the podcast.
You could do the podcast and be the city council person. Unfortunately, I know what would happen. You'd be bitching and moaning so much.
Yeah, it would ruin the show.
The podcast.
Yeah, it would ruin the show.
Much the Austin City Council podcast.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. But I will support anyone who wants to roust this. Who do we have here? Garza, I think. Some guy. Here's the news report on the city's new plans. We've changed things a little bit, everybody. We're working together like a team.
We want to update you on the city's plans for creating more homeless shelters in Austin. First, there's the new shelter coming to South Austin off of Ben White Boulevard. The city approved spending a little more than $8.5 million to buy an existing 26,000 square foot office building there and to turn it into a shelter. Council members are adamant that this will not not be a drop-in shelter like the Arch, but this plan isn't going over well with some who live nearby. A petition against it has more than 5,700 signatures so far. And the other shelter is the Salvation Army's new Rag Gaber on Tan Hill Lane in East Austin. It's meant to house families with children, and even though there was a ribbon-cutting ceremony for it in June, no one's living there now. The Salvation Army still needs money and an occupancy certificate from the city before people can move in. City leaders have long said the way to fix homelessness is to address affordable housing needs. Most recently, the city approved buying 300 new affordable homes, and specifically 140 of those will be for people who are homeless, have disabilities, or have other critical needs.
Now, I understand when you're talking about a pipeline of homelessness and people who actually just fall off the edge because of a medical situation or something else. And it can happen. Shoot, it could happen to me quite easily. Although of course I married the keeper, so, I'll be okay. But for years, I made it. For years, living on the edge, it's like, well, what will the donations be? Who knows? You miss 2 shows and if you're deplatformed or something like that, and then it becomes a problem. I understand that, and I think there's probably a good reason to have some temporary housing for people and families to help them catch up so they can figure it out. But we're talking people who've been homeless, unhoused, experiencing it for 8 years, 9 years, 12 years. They live effectively outdoors, and now they're all just coming into the city. Hey, we can camp there. Why not? It's a lot closer to everything. It's where I can get drugs if I want them. And, I don't know, it's very, very sad. And before you know it, we'll be like Philadelphia.
Help was on the way to deal with the hepatitis A outbreak. It began with the health department declaring a public emergency.
The emergency declaration is really to call the healthcare community to partner with us rapidly to administer a vaccine to as many of these folks at risk as we can as soon as possible to quell this outbreak.
Since January, 154 people were diagnosed with hepatitis A. Compare that to 21 cases in all of 2018. Officials want to vaccinate those most at risk, drug users and people who are homeless.
Vaccinate them against hepatitis A and protect them from getting this so that we can stop this outbreak.
In addition to the pop-up clinics like this one this week in Kensington's McPherson Park, the city will install hand-washing stations in the next couple of weeks to help contain this contagious virus. The city also intends to provide public toilets and public facilities.
A great idea to keep us safe and keep our health and bodies clean. I'm glad they're doing something about it because it has slowed down.
And the city says this emergency will stay intact until the commissioner believes that it is contained.
A madman shooter is one thing, and it's definitely something to be afraid of. But this really scares me. And this is what we were predicting in San Francisco. They would just be floating around everywhere. Now it seems to be happening in Philadelphia.
Well, there's hepatitis A. There is cholera. There's a number of other ailments that all come from transference via poop.
Mm-hmm.
And you have in Texas, I'd be more concerned there than anywhere, mainly because it's when the poop dries out and then becomes dust.
Yeah, all we are is dust in the
air.
wind.
People breathe it, and you're breathing poop that's contaminated, probably, or maybe not. And the next thing you know, you have a real problem on your hands, and there's nothing you're going to do about it overnight.
What does hepatitis A do to you, actually? What
blows out your liver?
Oh, well, I might need that.
I mean, you might need that.
I might need my liver. I don't want to.
Well, you need your liver. Yeah,
your liver kind of handy. Now, can you? Because there's a vaccination against it. Apparently, is there a cure, or is it bed rest and fluids?
It's chronic. You just have to.
Oh, you don't get rid of it?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, jeez. So on that upbeat note, how you doing? you got anything? Because that's everything from Texas today. We're shooting people. We've got people camping. It's beautiful.
Well, it looks like the Pac-12 still sucks.
Pac-12?
Anybody else needs to know that little piece of tidbit information?
What's Pac-12?
Yeah, never mind. It's the football league out here.
Oh, okay.
College football began.
Okay.
Well, there's some other. I got some clips from some interesting things. We might as well at least get the Hong Kong update out of the way because there's a new twist I thought was very creative. Because as you know, in Hong Kong during these riots, the Hong Kong they got the umbrellas out there so things bounce off the umbrellas. They put a cone on top of the gas canisters and then pour water on it. There's a bunch of things going on, but this little new one has got this little. I like this.
Authorities banned today's march, but tens of thousands of demonstrators gathered at government headquarters. The protesters armed themselves with makeshift weapons and shields as they confronted police who fired blue-tinted water from cannons to mark the protesters. This weekend marks the 13th week of unrest and falls on the 5-year anniversary of a decision by China to limit democracy in the semi-autonomous territory. That announcement launched a 79-day occupation of Hong Kong's streets by pro-democracy demonstrators known as the Umbrella Movement.
Why did they choose blue? Wouldn't you want something bright yellow or bright pink? Wouldn't you want something good?
I don't know what you would want. You have your spring Asians who have brown skin, and you want something to show up on the brown skin. Maybe the blue dye works. I don't know, but I thought the idea of shooting dye at people, because this is what those dye packs do to bank robbers.
Yes.
You know, you put to the dumb bank robbers, they put a bunch of money in a bag and they put a dye pack in there, and then it explodes
all over them,
and it throws dye all over the money. I had one of those bills once, by the way. I mean, you still cash them in, but it throws dye all over the money, and then it throws dye all over you, and it's just stuff that doesn't come off for a month.
They do that with clothing tags as well now. They also have dye bombs.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you know the things that they unclip before you leave the store?
Yeah, so if you try to hammer it yourself, it won't...
it'll hammer on you, basically.
Uh-huh.
And it also ruins the garment so it can't be returned for cash, which is really the scam, which is what most people want to do. They want to take it and they want to return it. I'll bet there's a very high percentage of women in the United States who frequently go to a store, buy an outfit, wear it for the evening, keep the tag on, and return it.
Are you kidding? It's almost every woman. I've worked with all the broadcasting people I've ever worked with in the Bay Area. All of them do that. All of them, not one or two. There used to be a place across from Mevio that was up on the other side of the street, up and over. It was on the corner. It was some fancy, dancy place. And everybody would go over there and they'd grab a garment. They have tape. They tape up the little tags and they wear it on the air. And they
could have expensed it. What's their problem? I thought they could have expensed it.
Nobody expenses clothes. You either have a
It was my company. I would have signed off on it.
No, you wouldn't.
What do you mean?
If you were signing, believe me, if you were signing off on clothes, you'd be broke.
I didn't know this was. That's how dishonest.
Yeah, they go over there. Well,
do men do this? Men don't do this.
The store was aware of this.
Wait, men don't do this.
Men don't do this. We don't care. But all the women do. And they get a little piece of tape. They tag the thing up and they go and they do a thing on the air. I know we had this at Tech TV, and we had a lot of women, and they all did it one time. They didn't do it as much as they did at Mevio, but they did it one time or another. They all did it, all of them. And they would go and they just say, "Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, I got it. So I think I'm probably going to take it back, but I was going to keep it." And they take his stuff back is very common with a lot of women, especially the ones that work in broadcasting. And it's not like a scandal.
Oh, well, I just kind of noticed this. Like, wow, they're doing a lot of this, aren't they?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, this morning, just getting back to Hong Kong, there was more chaos. This is a report I just picked up from this morning, just to give us the most recent news.
Hundreds of protesters gathered outside Hong Kong's international airport on Sunday as pro-democracy rallies showed no signs of abating. The demonstrators are determined to carry on their campaign despite increasingly violent confrontations with police and warnings from Beijing. Dangerous. Everyone who's out here today is prepared to be arrested. But dangerous isn't an excuse. We shouldn't ignore what's happening because because we think it's dangerous and let Hong Kong fall. By disrupting air and train services, the protesters once again focused international attention on their actions. Police said the gathering was illegal and warned of a dispersal operation.
Did you see the footage of the train where the riot police are just hammering on people? They just wait for the doors to open and go in and kick their asses?
Yeah, those are trains from China. Yeah, I think these are all Chinese from the mainland.
And meanwhile, we've got military buildup, which Beijing says is just regular rotation, nothing to see here. They got tanks, they got all kinds of stuff rolling around in the neighborhood. I don't know if they've always been there, but it seems like it's kind of being underplayed by the media.
We'll find out soon enough. It may go on to October, so they have their celebration and then come in and kick ass. By the way, I was watching, this was like a couple of weeks ago, and I've been trying to find it. I didn't take good enough notes. But there was on Christina Amanpour. She's got some PBS thing where she interviews 4 or 5 people in her unctuous way. And they had some Democrat on there who was talking about the Chinese Hong Kong riots, claiming that they were protesting Trump's racism. And I can't for the life of me find this clip.
Oh.
But I threw it out there anyway. Unproven. So anyway.
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
Where are my shirts? I want my T-shirt. China is asshole. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. I mean, the reporting is just all kind of the same, but it's been this way for a while. So we'll see. I think it's very important what happens. Poor Chinese, man. Poor Hong Kongers.
Yes, the Hong Kongers. It's not the Chinese per se.
It's the Hong Kongers.
Depends on how you define everything, of course. Yeah. There's some other protests going on. There's some dissent. I got a PBS report, dissent in Russia.
Oh, what was this about?
In Moscow today, thousands marched to protest rules that bar some opposition candidates from running for city council. Marchers at the unauthorized rally held up pro-democracy signs and chanted, quote, "Russia will be free." Protests over the September 8th election began in mid-July, including a permitted rally that attracted about 60,000 demonstrators. The recent protests over the city council vote are the largest showing of dissent in Russia in more than 5 years.
Now, I can hear a lot of talk, or I'm reading a lot of talk about, Putin may be on the outs and how much longer can he hold on to it. We really don't know a lot about how it works in Russia. And who's really running the show.
The dark. Thank you, media.
Yeah.
Orange man bad.
Yeah. There were protests over the weekend in Boston at the Straight Pride Parade, which, this was kind of interesting. And I did get an email from one of our producers who said, I was there on the counter protest. Do you want to report? I'm like, yeah. I say, well, I still haven't received anything, so I don't know what's going on. But I have 2 reports, one just before and one after a post-Pride report. Just listen to how this was set up, and there's an interesting gaffe in this one, too.
Emerson students are moving in, but tomorrow the college warns of a disruptive or even dangerous event taking place on the streets directly outside, the Straight Pride Parade.
It honestly just really scares me. I think a straight pride parade is nothing but, pride masquerading as hate.
These so-called...
I don't know why they left that in.
What is wrong with these people?
But she said instead of... hate masquerading as pride, she says it's pride masquerading as hate. And
Play it again.
And they left it in, which is very odd to me.
Outside, the Straight Pride Parade.
It honestly just really scares me. I think a straight pride parade is nothing but, pride masquerading as hate.
What is that about?
I think it was just a foul up. I kind of misheard it the first time I heard it. That's why I had to play it again. I think they were just rushing the report out in the edit room, and they just let that one go by, and nobody picked it up at any level.
Yeah,
which is really that concerns me more than anything. You got an anchor reading it, you got somebody editing it, you got a guy in the control room, and nobody picks this up.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I think
the guy who smokes weed every day picks it up.
A a straight pride parade is nothing but, pride masquerading as hate.
The so-called straight pride parade is in response to gay pride events. John Hugo is one of the organizers.
Celebrating our own sexual agenda and traditional American values.
They don't deserve our attention.
Arlene Isaacson co-chairs the Massachusetts Gay and Lesbian Political Caucus. She stresses straight people have not been marginalized throughout history for their sexuality.
So it's silly to say that they need a straight pride parade when, candidly, straight pride takes place 365 days a year.
And there is exactly the problem. And I understand that what these people are trying to organize is provocative, and I understand it's kind of like, hey, straight lives matter too. It can't just be all about the small marginalized groups. But of course, it's being interpreted as like you're Nazis.
Of course.
It's crazy.
The parade begins at Copley Square and ends at City Hall with speakers. Organizers have a 4-hour permit starting at noon. Boston police are expecting more counter-demonstrators to the parade than actual parade participants.
And of course, they go out and they talk to these freshmen who are just coming into Emerson College.
Hey, listen, straight, gay, we're all got to be on this earth together. Let them do what they want to do.
Not this guy.
Because of the potential volatility, police are restricting parking, what people can bring, and there will be lots of officers. Emerson College has even canceled an event and restricted access to certain buildings. Students plan to use the dorms along the route for their own message.
People are talking about hanging their gay pride flags out the window, which I'm all for, and we're all against it.
Oh my
We're
goodness.
Against it.
We're against it.
We're against it. So what about just the possibility that a whole bunch of straight cis normal gender fluid unfluid whatever people just want to have a parade without having just have a parade,
because these days
without it being a gay parade. Even the St. Patrick's Day parade has become kind of a gay parade because everyone was here comes the gay St. Patty's Day paraders.
Yeah.
I mean, the last person who wants to have a parade was Trump, who wanted to, have the big 4th of July parade.
He wanted tanks.
They got excoriated. Well, on the same subject, there's this story, which was of a local news outlet in Vermont. This is the crazy University of Vermont hate stickers story, which is permeating the East Coast along with the straight parade stuff. Well, and to me, this was the most. I was just jaw dropped for me. Maybe I'm so out of touch. I have to assume I'm completely out of touch.
Well, class is back in session at UVM, but it's not the welcoming most students wanted.
It's just not kind and not what this campus stands for.
Yet again, 3 hate speech stickers were found posted in areas of campus, this time displaying messages like better dead than red and keep America American.
I actually think that's kind of scary because this is a really diverse campus.
Police say the group responsible goes by the Patriot Front, which has been recognized by the Southern Poverty Law Center as a hate group. The various stickers pushes a message of white nationalism.
Yeah, it certainly could be a dog whistle.
This is no new issue. This comes nearly a year after similar stickers by the same group were found on UVM's campus, and just weeks after more stickers were found posted in various areas of Burlington. UVM now working with Burlington police and in contact with the FBI. But for students, this isn't the start to the semester they were anticipating.
I don't think any of the faculty appreciate it. I don't think the majority of the student body appreciate it.
UVM police hoping this will be the last of a group looking to cause division.
I'm concerned about a group like that being involved here and its impact on our community.
Wait a minute. So the only thing I heard there was one of the stickers said, better dead than red. And that was the only one they mentioned. Was there anything else?
No, the other one, there was 2 of them they mentioned.
What was the other?
One of them was better dead than red, which is really scary.
Yeah, especially since it's from the 60s.
The other one, according to the girl. And the other one is America for Americans.
Woo!
That's scary.
Scary. They're grounded in hate. Although I don't like the name. Anything front, you're just a dick. You're gonna name your group.
The guy's doing
Patriot Front.
But the stickers themselves, and we don't. And there's no proof of anyone. They didn't catch anybody putting a sticker up. Could be a bunch of frat boys.
We've ruined our children. Now here's the
better dead than red is an old
from the 60s. From the 60s.
It's 60s commentary. It's 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it came out of the 50s. which was a sticker, it was a bumper sticker because it was like an anti-communist bumper sticker. Yeah. But no, anti-communism is now scary.
Terrorism.
And the other one, America for Americans, is not a
terrorism. It's terrorism. Shut up. Scary.
So what is wrong with these kids?
Well, let's listen to the post-Pride Straight Pride parade, and most of these kids were arrested for rowdiness.
Welcome to the first annual Boston Straight Pride Parade.
Waving American flags and dressed in all types of costumes, more than 100 people took part in the Straight Pride Parade in Boston.
USA! USA!
The participants, most of them Trump supporters, marched from Copley Square to City Hall, voicing their strong views on traditional American values.
I don't know. I don't know if they interviewed all 100 of people, but most of them Trump supporters. This is what we're doing now. The media is connecting Trump supporters to straight people to Nazis.
Yeah.
It's really, it's just
well, you left out you left out way many intermediate steps.
It may be in the rest of the report.
Our beliefs are that God made one man and one woman, and they get together and procreate.
I can't sit down in my house no more and be quiet, that I need to stand up for my godly values.
The parade was met with even louder protesters from the LGBTQ community and Antifa.
Move back!
Police with riot gear on bikes and in armored cars were out in full force. Along the parade route, several protesters were arrested.
No justice! No peace! Shame!
The rally part of this event has been delayed because organizers say some of the special guests who were scheduled to speak have not been able to get through the security checkpoints, which makes these protesters happy.
We can't hear you!
The point of being here today is to make sure that they know that they're not welcome in Boston.
Police say no major injuries were reported. More than a dozen people were arrested.
Straight people not welcome in Boston.
Straight people are not welcome in Boston. You heard it here first.
Now, I talked to my local millennial about this kind of stuff. I actually went back to, it was part of a larger discussion about Dave Chappelle, about the show that we discussed in the last episode. And I can kind of boil it down to this. You and I, John, and I turned 55 on Tuesday. I become 50. And so that is, of course, I'm twice the age of the young college graduate. I don't feel old, but the basic takeaway is I have not evolved. This is truly it. And Dave Chappelle has not evolved. He has not evolved to the point where he understands it's not cool to make jokes about someone's sexuality. Of course, there's a host of other things. But it's something about your thinking, mine, is not evolved. And therefore, only an unevolved person like you, which usually is then described as an age issue.
It's ageism.
It's always ageism. And you're a little bit older than me, but for me, it's very difficult right now where on one hand, I have to admit, I don't really know what's at the top of the Billboard chart. I don't recognize half of the people I saw on the Video Music Awards. Of course, I mean, I'm also doing other things. I'm not in that business like I used to be, but I don't.
Yeah, and when you're in the business, it behooves you to know all that stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
And if you're not in that business, why would you know all that stuff?
Right. But this is the complaint. You're not evolved in your thinking. So I'm not keeping up with evolution, and otherwise I would never even think a joke like that was funny. And this is more of this evolved thinking.
And if you were keeping up,
yeah.
If you were evolving, then you'd know how scary it is to see a little sticker among 3 stickers on a campus that says better dead than red.
So there's a couple other things
that's evolution.
A couple other items in kind of news that pertain to this. Eric McCormick, who I like as an actor, he's Will on Will and Grace. I've always liked that show. Actively called for a blacklist of supporters of President Donald Trump in response to a Hollywood Reporter story about the Beverly Hills fundraiser the president's going to be attending next week. And here's his tweet. Hey, Hollywood Reporter, kindly report on everyone attending this event so the rest of us can be clear about who we don't want to work with.
Yeah.
And is that the evolved thinking? Is that the evolved
thinking? It's a version of the McCarthy era where they had blacklists and numerous writers
in Hollywood. In Hollywood.
This is Hollywood turning on itself. Like once again, only now it's over Trump.
It's unreal.
Then it was over the Russians. It had nothing to do with this country.
Well, but Trump's a Russian agent, so it's the same thing, basically.
Well, there's that.
Meanwhile, the new Dior ad had to be pulled because they clearly are not evolved, and they put Johnny Depp. It's a good ad, actually, although Depp is kind of weird, and he's promoting Sauvage, the new parfum from Dior. But the commercial is him out, like in a Western landscape. He's got his black guitar. He's out there playing guitar. He looks all kind of rowdy and rough.
Power from? Where's the power cord to that guitar that lets it play like that?
Yeah, he can do that. But in the background, there's an American Indian, in full headdress, twirling around, and that, of course, is cultural appropriation. So they had to pull that. I can't believe they're not evolved on this stuff. So stupid. Who is evolved is Calvin Klein, though. Calvin Klein is really trying to relaunch and reinvent its brand with plus-size models. I speak my truth in my hashtag Calvins. There's been pretty big plus models they're showing in these ads. So they've literally gone from Kate Moss looking anorexic, remember, to Marky Mark. Remember Mark Wahlberg? He did the Calvin Kleins, and now it's big plus-size models, and which is fine by me. But okay, that's also changed though. What is considered to be a beautiful womanly shape has changed. These days, women that I have met and interacted with, which seems like kind of a standard, really want to look like Kim Kardashian. They want the skinny waist, the humongous butt, and the breasts to match. And I'm not evolved.
No. So to be evolved, you have to be a Kardashian fan.
That's basically it. And
that's involved. There you go. So these people are so kind of tied up in media and mass. Yeah,
you're right. How sad
mass
is it?
Marketing and everything else that they're so proud of not being able to be influenced by because we're immune to advertising. The millennials, that's one of their mottos.
Yeah, sure they are.
They're so immune, but meanwhile they want big giant butts out of the blue.
Yeah, and it's kind of look, the desired female shape has morphed many times over the ages. The Rubenesque woman was considered the height of sexiness, and that changed
that was in the 1600s, I think.
I think more 17s, but yeah. Well, I'm not going to bitch about 100 years with you.
But that's being involved. It seems like they're being brainwashed into I don't know. It's beyond me. All I know is when I heard that girl from a university student said, it's so scary about a sticker that says better dead than red, which refers to being a communist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary. And she's upset about it. And they don't know what to do. She's beside herself. It's gone way too far.
It's everywhere, though, and it's propagated through podcasts, John. I've created a monster. It just keeps on going.
Yeah, podcasts aren't helping.
I have to call back, though. Your idea of the homelessness experience in Disneyland this is an exit strategy. I think we could create this ride. Now, do you sit in the ride, or I think you should also experience for a brief moment you stepping in human feces?
I don't know if the homeless are always stepping in human feces. I guess some of that are really down and out, staggering down the street, all leaned over.
No. I mean, if the ride, are you going to actually experience it? Like, so is it a ride? Is it I think the most enjoyable Disney rides are in a cart, and you got your music going on. And you're
well, okay, there's two ways of going about this. I'm a huge connoisseur of these things.
Here we go.
There's one is you're in the little cart, a little car, or a little thing, and it's going through a homeless encampment, and people are all animatronic.
That's like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly like Pirates of the Caribbean. Only you're not. Maybe it could be in a kind of a river of pee. If you're in kind of stinky pee, that would be okay. But I think generally speaking, it'd be better on rails, and you go through these things, and you see all these different people, and then they have people. Then you go through the section where there's a bunch of politicians trying to come up with good solutions, and they finally say, "We just need more housing," and then you come out. You come out the other end of it, and you feel real good about yourself, and you understand. You understand.
Now you have evolved. That's what it is.
The other one, which is the cheaper way to go, is you wear some VR glasses, or you're in a VR situation. You experience the whole thing. Only now it's even more realistic. Not because it's not animatronics. It's not dummies and things like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's the actual videos that you're seeing, and it's surrounded by the real stench and filth and fans blowing the smell of crap in your face. Whoosh, whoosh. And you go through the whole thing, and you come out the other end pretty much with the same message, but it's just the cheaper way to do the ride. Less maintenance.
I personally like the Pirates of the Caribbean version. I like that a little better. I think it's more fun.
I always like those rides better than the ones that are
because you go through City Hall where the council members are all sitting there pontificating. Then you could do and here's Los Angeles and here's Austin. You could have a couple show some differences.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, you could take the car through one place or another,
and then
guys begging for money in different ways.
Along the ride, people keep coming up to your cart asking for money.
Yeah,
God. We're going to hell for this. But I am actively working on this problem in Austin. I'm meeting the CEO of Community First Village not next month, Monday after next, and I'm going to interview him. Maybe we'll pull something out for the show. So he's doing something that's working. So I'm interested in that. We can incorporate him into the ride.
Yeah,
I'll pitch him. And with that, it's time for me to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the commie red, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning to feet on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, dames and knights out there.
And in the morning to the trolls in the troll room, which you can find at noagendastream.com. Now, this is an interesting place because it's not just where you can listen to us stream live and troll me in real time in the chat room, which we affectionately call the troll room. There's many shows right after our show is done. People discover shows this way. They'll stick around, listen to what's coming up next, and then before you know it, you're kind of listening all the time. So you can drop into this noagendastream.com 24 hours a day, sample a new show, listen to it, interact with people, and then obviously you can subscribe to them or keep listening. It is a fun place to be, certainly if you live under a bridge. And I'd also like to say in the morning to the artist who brought us the artwork for episode 1168. He's no secret to you. He's Darren O'Neill. Is this a hat trick for Darren? Has he done it again? Is it now 3 in a row?
It's possible. It's likely.
He brought us a great takeoff of the 18 to 8. This is the let kids, Scandinavian kids vote at 8 years old. So he had these, I don't know, it was really good. It was We Can Emote, Let Us Vote, and they had all these kids, and he dressed them up in, was that Che Guevara t-shirt?
Yeah, Che Guevara t-shirts, little small size,
tot size Che Guevara t-shirts. It was really quite disturbing, but a beautiful piece. It was disturbing. Let me see. Did he have 3 in a row? Let me see. Who did 66? Oops. Hold on. I have a feeling he had 3 in a row, didn't he? No, Mike Riley had... okay, so he's had 2 in a row. He could go for the hat trick for today. The title of the show was...
He's listening. He might be on... today is a holiday weekend. There's a lot of people aren't
in the United States, yes, this is true.
Well, our 80% of our audience is in the United States.
Yeah, but I like to talk to like I'm talking to the whole world. We
are talking to the whole world. I'm just saying we have a lot of people in the United States. So when the numbers go down, it's because of the United States more than it is any place else.
Well, Europe should be stepping it up.
Yeah, we wish.
Well, this is highly appreciated from Darren. He's always doing work for us, one place or the other. If he's not doing pre-streams, he's working with Void Zero on the back end with Bemrose. God knows, these guys do all kinds of stuff. He also, I think he did the pre-show for today's program, actually. And it's part of our value for value system. You know, you can help us out a lot. Just provide some value. This is a great way. I mean, we love the artwork. We love, jingles, all kinds of things that people contribute. And we also really appreciate people who feel that their way to contribute is through a financial donation. Just like Hollywood, we want to thank them. We give them credits up at the front of the program. Here are our executive and associate executive producers for today's program.
Hello?
Yes?
Yes, we can start with New Braunfels, Texas. Will be where the place begins, where it all begins. It all begins in New Braunfels, Texas, which makes a great barbecue. Pit, the Hondo, used to be the one that was the most famous. Corey Turner lives there, or he lives around there. It came in with an outrageous $1,055.55.
Wow!
Wow!
Wow! What does the number signify? And what is it?
$1,000 for the show, $55.55 for Adam's B-Day.
Oh man, that's fantastic!
And it's also for your birthday, but
how nice!
That B-Day needs to be cleaned up. Apparently, please knight me as Sir Corey, Knight of the Comal River. De-douche me?
Oh, hold on. Let me get some de-douching ready for you. A good helping of it.
You've been de-douched.
I need some health karma for his recent kidney transplant and a dealer's choice for Adam's birthday.
Wow. Another wow. Well, let us know how what's the story? Is it just one kidney? Did you get the kidney from a friend?
Usually don't have two kidneys.
What? Okay. Wait, you can't have two kidney transplants?
No, you have to. I've never heard anyone having two kidneys transplanted.
I want to know where he got the one from.
Kind of greedy. What?
I want to know where he got the new one from.
Can I have your two kidneys?
I know people who have donated their kidney to a good friend. I mean, those are beautiful stories.
Yeah, but you've not donated both of them.
Well, no, you should try and find multiple friends if you need that. Okay, dealer's choice then.
Happy birthday to you.
It's my own choice.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Podfather. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Adam. Thank you for your courage and such.
Chris Wilson is a phenom. A phenom he is. So since it was a birthday gift, $55.55 and the $1,000. Here, though, is your big-ass health karma with a goat twist.
You've got karma.
Then we have Anonymous coming in with 559.19. Anonymous, please. No jingles, no karma. So that's that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Anonymous.
Baronet Stephen of Oswego, from Oswego, Illinois. 333.33. And he says, what does he say? Baronet Stephen of Oswego getting ready to get back in the dating pool post-divorce and need some serious karma. Whatever combo you think best, Adam.
Okay.
If there's one of Mike Gravel's "Make Hillary Run Again" hats left, I'm sure that will help. That's probably that's a
collector's item.
Sold out of those, but that's actually a funny idea to go into a bar
with Hillary Run Again.
Make Hillary Run Again. thing hat on. I wonder how that would go over.
Yeah, that's really funny.
If I wore it,
why don't you do that and let us know how that goes over?
I think if you wore it would look like you're mocking her.
Yes.
Which reminds me of something I posted on Twitter. I didn't put it in the newsletter. I put it in the next one. The 404 error page for the Trump campaign.
I saw that, yeah.
VoteTrump.com, whatever it is.
So if you go to a page that doesn't exist on
if
that,
you
on
go
that
to
website.
a page that doesn't exist, it pops up the 404 error page. And it's a specially constructed page that says, oops, something here doesn't exist. And on the right, in the same style as the rest of the site, is Hillary in front of the White House next to some American flags as though she's president. I just couldn't believe this.
Yeah, of course you can. It's
Thank you, one of our producers who sent me that link.
So for Baronet Stephen of Oswego, I figured I'd throw in a Swazelnuff donation for you.
69, dude.
You've got karma.
It's been known to work.
Button, parts unknown, $250 becomes associate executive producer. The show has been great lately, gentlemen, but this is really me just trying to secure some job karma ahead of a rollout. Keep up the good work, Sir Button.
All right. Well, then let's see if we can make this work for you.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Brendan, $237 from Long Note, USA. I am pleased to report that after 3 years of indulging in your crackpotting, buzz-killing, Trump-apologizing, bug-eating, dimension-straddling antics, and being on a $4 per week subscription for the majority of that time, plus a few larger donations thrown in for good measure, I can finally stake my claim to a seat at the No Agenda Roundtable. I would like to be known as Sir BT, Dark Knight of the Morphogenetic Field. Morphogenetic Field. Dark Knight of the Morphogenetic Field. Is that on there? I think it is.
I believe so. I think I saw that come in earlier today. Yeah.
The first thing I'd like to ask for is a major shot of mental health karma for my twin brother, Patrick. He has a rare disorder called HPPD, hallucinogen persisting perception disorder. That's interesting.
Whoa.
It's a mental illness that is caused primarily by using hallucinogenic drugs like LSD. I've heard of this.
Is that like a flashback? Is that
I think it's like a where you have flashbacks constantly.
Oh, geez.
The symptoms are pretty straightforward, constantly experiencing visual distortions and patterns similar to the kind you would experience while on LSD, long after you stop using the drug. It can cause an unbelievably painful chronic head pressure, which is far worse than any migraine, according to my brother. And he's a twin. Unfortunately, this condition has led to my brother being hospitalized twice in the last 6 months. There are medications that can mute the symptoms, but there is no known cure. If any of our No Agenda producers out there have experience with it or suggestions on how to deal with it, I'd really appreciate hearing from you. Email hppdinfo@gmail.com. On a higher note, you can proceed the mental health karma with a mac and cheese. I love bugs and the foamer clip. Adam, my brother and I share a birthday with you, September 3rd. My mom, Karen's birthday, September 7th. And my friend Griff's birthday is September 11th. He hit me in the mouth 3 years ago. So happy birthday to all of the above. Thank you for your courage.
Wow, Brendan, soon to be Sir BT. What a story. And I have a feeling that there's a large section of our audience that will have some ideas. As I see what's handed to me sometimes in envelopes at meetups. So I think people know what's going on, but this sounds, I mean, I've heard of LSD flashbacks, but to have them like continuously, that's a true nightmare.
Yeah.
Have you ever dropped acid, John? Back in the day?
Dropped it? Where would I drop it?
Come on, man. Isn't that how a lid? Did you lick a lid? Did you drop some acid?
I dropped it in the river.
Have you ever experienced?
I'm not saying for insurance purposes.
Living in the mac and cheese life.
Mac and Cheese by Ayn Rand.
We eat bugs. You eat bugs. Nothing like freshly caught bugs. You want to try? Ooh, thanks. I love bugs.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn!
Karma.
Nicolette Biggs follows from Plant City, Florida, $200.33. And she writes, "This is my first time donating, so I believe that calls for a de-douche."
You've been de-douched.
In honor of the man who punched me in the mouth, I'd like half my donation to go towards Sam Garcia's knighthood. I love what you guys are doing and the community that follows.
Oh, thank you, Nicolette. And how sweet of you to do that for him.
Yes.
Keep track of it yourself, because we that's how it works here.
Christopher Coddington in Kaluakona, Hawaii. You're welcome. Thank you, Major Baby Surgery Karma Works. Emmett Paul Coddington turns 1 tomorrow, August 30th. Oh, he's not on the birthday list. I think we should put him on.
Okay, I shall add him there.
And he's doing great. A few shows ago, a producer needed some karma for his new human resource that is on the NICU, and I wanted to send a note of encouragement. Emmett was born with Pierre Robin sequence in our small hospital here in Kona. Within 6 hours, he and I were medevaced to Honolulu. He was then on life support, waiting for an insurance bigwigs to approve a transfer.
Yeah, I know exactly what this is. Typical. Yeah,
this is worse than government.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's worse than government because of profit motive. What he needed couldn't be done in Hawaii. Thank God for the Ronald McDonald House, Judd Hillside Road. And the keeper indeed is a keeper for all she does. The doctors here wanted to send him home with a lifetime of feeding tubes and life support in his future. Fortunately, being builders on the luxurious Kona coast, my father and I knew some folks with real pull. Calls were made. Then jackpot. What do you think this is?
Medevaced.
Okay, so he's medevaced again. Okay, medevaced halfway across the Pacific to UCSF, best hospital on the West Coast. Benioff Children's Hospital, Mission Bay. Thank God, what an amazing place. While in San Francisco, we are housed and taken care of by the Family House Charities. Great people. Then JCD got our box. Adam, don't worry, yours is on the way. Emmett got his karma.
Well, what box did you get?
A box.
Okay, thanks.
Emmett got his karma, and then he got his surgery. Not only that, but Buzzkill even noticed what a babe my wife is, which really lifted her up during the tough time. Ever since Adam read my Boots on the Ground family report about the bunk missile, or the bullshit missile.
Yeah, the missile alert, yeah.
I knew this no agenda thing was a huge family. The last year really proved it. Having listened since I heard Adam on InfoWars, thank you, Sir
Ducifer.
May I humbly ask for a de-douching I forgot to ask for my first donation. You can give him that now.
You've been de-douched.
My kids, Reagan, Tristan, and Emmett would love these jingles. Putin, don't worry, be happy. It's true. And a plain goat karma. Finally, a huge health karma to all those in need, young and old. This shit works. Mahalo, Chris.
It's true. And then all of these services, like certainly Ronald McDonald House, is really fantastic. No matter and this is a great thing about it, rich, poor, doesn't matter. They'll take you in. Of course, they would like you to support them when you leave if you can, but they do great work keeping families close.
Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy.
That's true. You've got karma.
Cal Parker, $200. have a good list today, I have to say.
Yes, cute.
Gentlemen, great shows as always. I'm going through some shit and would really use some karma wrapped up in a goat, please. Those goats have always put a smile on my face. Keep up the outstanding work.
Okay, here it is, Kyle.
You've got Pharma.
I admit, you just want to love him.
Now, finally, last but not least, is Dame 4N Lady Before from Dackleup, Georgia. Comes with $200, and she wrote a note. And I have to make a comment about the assumptions involved. It's a long note. I'll probably read most of it. She says she has a note on the note, a little Post-it note. I tried to write big to help you read my writing. All right. The size is not the issue. This is writing big giant letters. I'm not like 90, but this is like people who go to Europe and they think that you will understand English if they shout at you.
Yes.
It doesn't work. People do not understand English if you shout at them louder or softer or whatever you do. So writing big isn't the problem. She has a nice hand, but it's a little bit, I don't know if it's old-fashioned, but she has a lot of usages that you don't see much. You see, it's like trying to read. There's different kinds of longhand. That's what people don't realize. And when you learn different theories of it, I forgot the one that Americans normally use, but it's definitely not the same one the French use, for example. Whoops, hold on.
I think your mic is coming undone. I could hear it. Is it? Did it fall off the stand, or did you fall off the?
No. I got a wire. I got a wire twisted around my foot, and in moving my foot, it pulled the gear down to the floor. So I put it back. Okay. I'll try to be more careful.
Yes.
Anyway, so the French, I can't remember. Somebody in this chat room may know what it's called, our form of longhand. But the French form is so alien, it's impossible for an American to read.
Our form is cursive.
No, it's cursive.
Cursive.
It's a name. It's somebody's name. I can almost had it until that bad answer appeared.
Nestlé Toolhouse.
Anyway, dear John and Adam, it's with a great pleasure I enclose my donation of $200 in hopes of my 71st birthday. Okay, this is a very old form of longhand, which is not used by anybody.
Palmer method? Does that mean
Palmer? Anything? Yes.
Thank you, Harry Hamster.
I think the Palmer may be the newer version of what she's writing.
Okay.
So she's 71. She needs to be on the birthday list. This is, you got her name there. Her actual name, she doesn't say she wants to be anonymous, but it's Susan. You can say Susan.
Wait, is she already on the list?
No, why would she be? I'm reading this note now. Nobody knows about this but me.
It's just, it's just Susan?
Yeah, Susan. Well, you can use her Dame name.
Okay, Dame.
4N.
All right. Dame 4NB4. I know that part. How old is she?
71.
And what day?
It's the 2nd, tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Got it. She's on the list.
As I begin my 72nd trip around the
globe,
the sun.
The sun.
I wish all no.
I'm better at this cursive reading from distance than you are.
Well, okay. I can take a picture of this as an S, and then it looks like an I, and then it looks like an E, and then it looks like an M.
Spencerian?
No, sun.
No,
I wish all the Noah just listeners the best for their something. I was delighted to have had the pleasure of meeting Adam at the London meetup in June, as I was with the other dames and knights. I truly was delighted gathering. She was in London. Sadly, and she lives in Georgia. Sadly, my attendance was cut short as my grandchildren needed to get back.
Yes, I remember her. And her grandkids, I remember her very well. Fantastic lady. Her grandkids are all with her, and they're going like, Grandma has lost the effing plot. What are we doing? Who are these people? Who's that guy with the Tourette's? I mean, they had no idea. They were tripping. They're like, Grandma, we think we need to take you home because these people don't seem very safe. It was hilarious.
She says that her daughters, they got out of there. My usual impairment is due to big pharma drugs, specifically Plaquenil or something, which caused my blindness. I listen to your show on both Thursdays and after, often hit people in the mouth myself. Okay. This is finally the best paid, best something. This is the best podcast. This is the best podcast in the universe. Play me the jingles, but please send a karma. And I'm specifically struggling to support my disabled daughter while writing for her so she can be approved by Social Security for benefits. Yeah. Okay.
And let me tell you this. I happen to know that is the social services. If you have a child that actually has something and this child is white, you've got big problems. It's not easy to get any of the right forms to be on any kind of services for these children. I've seen it time and time again. It's infuriating. The people camping are your neighbors, but this kid, screw them. It's very hard. There's a lot of things messed up, but I feel her pain in that regard. I have some close experience with that. It's sad. The paperwork.
She wraps it up and says that she'll go to attend another meetup in Georgia as long as it's outside of Atlanta, and she wants to go to Duluth, Georgia. That's where she lives. I'm guessing. Yes, that's where she lives. Anyway, thank you for all you do for so many around the world, and don't forget Canada's federal elections in October. And that was no jingles, no karma. Apparently, we'll give her a karma.
Yeah, she needs a karma.
You've got karma.
Great note. Appreciate that.
And I will say there is these different longhand theories, cursive, as they like to call it. And if anyone gets a chance to or if listens to anybody's French and writes in that old-fashioned French longhand, you've got to check it out. If you haven't, I used to correspond with a lot of different wineries, and you'd get this writing, and it'd be like, holy crap, I can't read this.
Can you tell someone's personality from the way they write cursive?
Theoretically, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they say you can. I just got another notice. They want to reboot my computer.
No. Let me thank. While you're trying to stop that, let me thank these executive producers and associate executive producers for supporting episode 1169 of your podcast. We call it the No Agenda Show. According to the Mueller report, it is the best podcast in the universe. Because it's yours, you support it. You really put it together. We're just the conduits, okay? We come with some experience on how to do that, but this system has been working. It's been working relatively well for all involved. And in our second donation segment today on the show, we're talking a little bit about some of the meetups that are taking place and how important those are in this fantastic experiment we call the No Agenda Show. So again, thank you. These credits are real. You can use them anywhere credits are accepted for our executive producers and associate executive producers, and you can be one too. Please remember to go to the following website address to support us.
Dvorak.org/NA.
I think you got a little bit of schooling today in the different types of cursive writing. You should propagate it.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Yes, this is fucked up.
Shut up, slave.
I have, you know what I have? I have
a lousy British accent.
I don't have a lazy British accent. What I have is a reason to open the gates.
To the gate, to the gate, to the climate gates.
That's right. It's time to open up the Climategate one more time. When did we start using that Climategate jingle? Can you recall?
Just at least 8 years ago.
Let me see.
It's an oldie.
Yeah.
It's one of our first.
Yeah, let me see if I can just...
I'll tell you when it was. It was during the Climategate era.
Right, I'm just looking to see if I've... I don't have a timestamp on this. So that jingle has got to be from 2008, 2009. If you'll recall, there was a lawsuit.
Oh, yeah, this is great. I should have got a clip on this.
Well, I have a couple clips.
Good.
Yes. So Michael Mann is the quote-unquote inventor of the hockey stick graph, of the graph that shocked the world in 2001, that certainly helped Al Gore bring his inconvenient truth movement to the
Gore
masses.
has made millions off of that hockey stick.
Yeah. And in the Climategate papers, we were able to see that there was fudging going on, which has since then been painted over as, you're an idiot. You're a conspiracy theory. That didn't happen. We didn't do any of that. This was all real. Whereas they were... Go ahead.
I do want to say this, that when that happened, that Climategate operation, which was in England, and some hacker had unveiled all these emails showing, oh, these numbers aren't working out, let's just fudge them, and they jimmied the numbers, actually marked the beginning of the end as far as I'm concerned. And things have really not gone. I mean, they still talk a big game and everybody's on, doing their best, but I think the movement is, except for the radical lefties and the dummies and the people that are scared of stickers at their university, most people are just giving up on it.
Well, Dr. Ball stated publicly that Michael Mann was full of crap and that his hockey stick is fraudulent, to which Michael Mann sued Dr. Ball for slander. So the story we received, which you will not hear a lot about, I think, in the mainstream M5M, because it does not behoove their agenda, it kind of broke the whole idea of this global warming propaganda to bits. And the judge dismissed the lawsuit with prejudice and told Michael Mann that he has to pay court costs and other costs to Dr. Ball for this bogative lawsuit that he had saddled up, had teed up, lined up. So it wasn't the guy, it wasn't Dr. Ball saying, hey, I don't believe you, and suing him. No, it was Michael Mann himself who put this hockey stick in the first IPCC report. He sued today. I'm defending my honor. So let's get some details exactly on what went down. I have a three-parter here, and we start with, now this was the Danielle Smith podcast. If you want anything good these days, you can barely get it from M5M, certainly not on this topic. So this is the very Dr. Ball who was sued and won against Michael Mann, who sued him for slander. And this is kind of the intro.
Let me tell you, I just want to read out what Michael Mann's response to the initial reporting was. He said, there have been some wildly untruthful claims about the recent dismissal of libel litigation against Tim Paul circulating on social media. Here's our statement. The defendant Ball did not win the case. The court did not find that any of Ball's defenses were valid. The court did not find that any of my claims were not valid. The dismissal involved the alleged exercise of a discretion on the court to dismiss a lawsuit for delay. I have an absolute right of appeal. My lawyers will be reviewing the judgment. We will make a decision within 30 days. The provision in the court's order relating to cost does not mean that I will pay Ball's legal fees. This ruling absolutely does not involve any finding that Ball's allegations were correct, in fact, or amounted to legitimate comment. In making his application based on delay, Ball effectively told the world he did not want a verdict on the real issues of the lawsuit. So that's his comment. What's your counter comment to that?
Well, the counter comment is that I did want it. He's the one. We had a court time scheduled for February 20th of 2017. We were scheduled to be in court. He canceled it. He delayed it, not me, and so he's the one that's consistently delayed it, and he's had now almost 9 years to produce his evidence, and he hasn't done it. And the court ruling in the dismissal said that he made all sorts of claims and provided no evidence to support his claims. So what he's interpreted there is the complete opposite of the facts.
So it's important to hear how it's going to be spun in the media, but it seems kind of like our Dr. Ball is the hero of this, and he came out on top. So here's the background.
Well, it was a combination of both of those. The comment about being in Penn State is what he listed in his defamation suit, saying that by...
Oh, hold on. Did I get the right one? Yeah.
Saying that he should be in state pen, I was implying that he was a criminal. And, of course... Actually, I do think he's a criminal, and the reason I'd say that is because Michael Mann was the guy that literally rewrote climate history. You see, one of the problems that these people that have pushed human-caused global warming all along has been that people like me who knew what the climate history was said, hey, 1,000 years ago it was much warmer than today in a period called the medieval warm period. And there was no possible way that could have been created by humans. This was a natural cycle. And so, there's actually, I have an email from a Professor Deming, Deming, and he said, I wrote an article that was questioning the hockey stick, and he said, I got an email from one of the perpetrators of it saying, we've got to get rid of that medieval warm period. In other words, we've got to rewrite the history, and that's exactly what they did.
Is your microphone reattached? It sounded like you were messing with it. Is it working?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. I'd heard a lot of...
No, I'm moving stuff around.
Okay.
Sorry.
Here's the final clip of this.
So what he did was he took the modern instrumental temperature record and grafted it on to the end of the tree ring record.
Okay, it sounds like you're saying he cherry-picked a particular tree sample that gave him the data that he wanted for the early part of the record, and then used the latest temperature data, grafted on to create this huge spike.
The blade, yeah. And of course, the thing is, when you look at that blade, that sudden upturn in temperature that he has as the blade of his hockey stick, it's the accuracy of it is plus or minus 33%.
Okay, so how did this become the iconic graph that everybody referred to and that has driven so much of the climate discussion?
Because these people were being paid and worked at the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and that their goal was to show that humans were causing global warming and climate change, and therefore they created the data that justified that. And of course, the hockey stick showed, until these humans and their industry appeared in the 1880s, the temperature was going down slightly and was almost level. And then, suddenly, there it is. That's proof that humans are the cause. That's the whole objective of everything they've done.
Climate change is real.
Well, this guy, when they booking this guy on MSNBC, I wonder.
Which guy? The Dr. Ball who's talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, never. Of course they're not going to book him. Of course not. You got to go to podcasts.
They should be booked. Why don't they book him?
You got to go to podcasts to get some real information these days.
Unbelievable. Nobody wants to take the...
And it seems like a perfectly good thing to talk about, seeing as, this is a lot of the genesis of the hysteria that we're in now. I mean, if that's being questioned, you should at least report on it, but no. Which is why, if you read the whole thing, you'll see multiple times in the Mueller report that No Agenda is the best podcast in the universe.
Yes, by omission.
By omission.
To the gate, to the gate, to the climate gate.
And the gate closes up. Bye-bye, gate. Bye-bye, birdies. Bye-bye, climate.
No, meanwhile, of course, we have this Dorian coming down the coast.
Yeah, I find this whole thing suspicious.
All the graphs going every which way. They don't even...
Yeah.
The worst.
It could go this... No, wait. It started with, Puerto Rico's going to die. Oh, wait a minute. It missed it. Okay. Florida, you're going to die. It's like... And does anyone see the joke in this, that all their computer models and we're all going to die in 12 years? It's even terrorizing children. Sorry, can't resist.
Some things that are a bit worrying, like climate change and things like that.
We're all going to die.
I had this fact that if we don't do anything now, in 2040, it will be the first year with no ice in the Arctic.
Yeah, we're all going to die. This is
no ice in the Arctic.
No ice in the Arctic. Yeah.
Well, here's the Dorian report so we can get a little clue what's going on. Let's keep people on the East Coast satisfied.
Forecasters now say Hurricane Dorian may head north and east in the next few days, skirting along the coast of Florida, where warnings are still in place, and heading toward coastal Georgia and the Carolinas. The hurricane is now a Category 4 and is projected to hit the northwestern Bahamas sometime in the next 24 hours, with winds approaching 150 miles per hour. Florida is still in Dorian's potential path, and it may bring strong winds and life-threatening storm surge to Georgia and South Carolina early next week. But before the hurricane reaches the U.S. mainland, it is forecast to slow down and drop as much as 4 feet of rain over the Bahamas this weekend. The Prime Minister there urged residents in the storm's path to evacuate.
Yeah. So they don't know which direction it's going. This is a very slow mover, though, which is kind of like Hugo, which is relatively new in the hurricane development world.
Well, that's what they're telling us. I'm not sure that's true.
Oh, yeah, of course. Who the hell knows? There is... Now, Miami, I guess, is not going to... It seems like they're safe now.
Yeah, Miami's going to be fine.
Well, they were scrambling to get all the scooters rounded up.
Wow. You know, I think a tornado and those scooters would be a bad mix. Can you imagine a tornado, which has more sucking power because it's concentrated, going over some little town, like, let's say, any town that's got a bunch of scooters.
Austin.
And sucking all the scooters up into the air and then throwing scooters all over the place.
It's Scooter-nado.
Scooter-nado.
Yeah. But you don't think about those things.
Well, we just did.
If it came by Austin, you'd have scooters flying through the air and people experiencing homelessness.
And poop and tents.
Jeez. We're going downhill pretty quick on this one.
Poop-nado.
Yeah. Yeah, when
All right, let's talk, wait.
I just want to mention one thing. A report came through over the weekend from the Netherlands, just staying on Green New Deal, climate change, etc. Now, what have we been looking at with the Netherlands specifically? They are really trying to get rid of natural gas. No more homes being built with gas. So if you want to heat your home, if you want hot water, anything, no gas. If you want to cook,
you're screwed.
It's all going to be electric. So they've been pushing this for a while. They've a big push on electric vehicles. The Teslas were heavily subsidized. I don't know how many Teslas there are in the Netherlands, but it's quite a bit. All the cabs now at the airport.
Big.
All the cabs at the airport are Teslas, but people have also been put into small electric vehicles, and they enjoy them. And especially for a country like the Netherlands, relatively small, you can actually get from one side of the country to the other on one full charge. You'd have to charge before you go back. But anyway, they're electrifying their society. With the recent, it's not really a heat wave, but it's been pretty hot. So I think that has something to do with it. The network, the electricity, the grid in the Netherlands is at, if not a little bit over capacity. They cannot handle the demand. They have the supply. The actual grid can't handle the amount of people who now are cooking with electricity, charging with electricity. They're not heating right now. Just imagine what it's going to be like in the winter. So the grid can't handle it. What do you do in that case? But what do you do when the grid can't
realize that you're stupid?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with gas.
Did anyone think to check and see if all this added electrical capacity, if that would?
I'm sure. I am absolutely convinced that one engineer at the probably a half dozen, all had the math and they showed the math. You know, we really can't do this. Shut up. We're going to do it anyway. Yeah. That's because that's what mathematicians and engineers do all day. Yeah. They work on problems like you just said, and they come up with mathematical solutions, real engineering and mathematical solutions, and they present them in reports. And it says no, and they say, well, okay, well, we'll do it anyway. That's what I'm absolutely convinced of that.
Well, it seems to be a problem, and it looks like the Netherlands is going to be ground zero of the problem. So,
good. It's a good experimental area.
Yes, it's always good to mess with 17 million people. Who cares?
Well, they have robotic chicken processing there in that country.
They do?
Beyond, but world class. So
in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I got this lecture when I got my tour of the Netherlands from.
That doesn't sound really. That doesn't sound groovy. That doesn't sound green.
Nobody said it was green. Yeah, there's this big giant chicken packer that we're going by, and there's a bunch of trucks coming out. These huge monstrous trucks of chicken.
Yeah.
And I said, they eat a lot of chicken. He said, they eat a lot of chicken. He says, yeah, they eat a lot of chicken. He says, and those factories are all robotic.
Wow.
And I said, what? Why? He says, because we can't get Mexican workers here.
Did he really say that?
Yep.
That's bad.
So we ended up dreaming up all these robots to do the job. So, know if it's cheaper or more expensive. I would guess it's more expensive, but I'm not sure. But that's what he said, yes. And I'm sorry I brought it up. Let's talk a little bit about Biden.
Okay.
First of all, I got one deconstruction of the major Biden gaffe and then another Biden gaffe. And I have Brooks and Shields, but mostly Brooks, talking about a couple of items that I think are worth discussing. So let me do it this way. Let's play Brooks. Trump is losing it on PBS.
You look back on the G7, the meeting in France last weekend, and it was more characterized by tension that he had with other world leaders than by any sense that anything was getting done.
Yeah,
so
that's just sort of part of the course for G7 summits. But I think what struck me this week was how the debate changed around Donald Trump. There's been whispering, is he mentally not as fit as he was? Are impairments rising? That somehow seemed to rise and now become public conversation. When he said his father was born in Germany, when your father was born in the Bronx, that's not something you normally get wrong. That his wife is good friends with the North Korean leader when she'd never met him. I mean, there are just a lot of things coming out of his mouth, and this has always been a case. But the verbal patterns, psychiatrists are not allowed to judge people they haven't met. But there are certainly a lot of people out there raising a lot of red flags. So that, to me, among the tumult of the political tumult of the G7, the psychological tumult is almost one of the key takeaways.
You know, just on that one point about what Trump said, that the First Lady had met Kim Jong-un, also liked him. Because I saw that whole speech. And I didn't think much of it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that she met him. That's, I don't know, possible, I guess. What is that? Because to me, the way he said it on stage and the fact that it was a blatant lie, it's pathological. I hate to say it because I still love the guy, but it sounds like something Ron Bloom would say. Not that that means anything to anybody but you and I.
Oh, God.
But we know someone who is like this.
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, what is going on with that?
It's a pathological liar. There's a bunch of them out there. They're crawling all over the place. I'm always skeptical of them. I always try to avoid them. But the thing about this is just piling on, and yeah, that was a stupid thing to say. But think about his dad being born in Germany is not new. But we had a clip of that. That's 2 years ago.
But I thought. Well, his heritage was his grandfather born in Germany?
Yeah, no, he's German. This is a German family.
Yeah.
The Drumps.
Yes, the Drumps. Yeah, right.
So he's brought this up, but then when he goes on and he said, then Brooks they turn it around because then they bring in these Biden gaffes. And I'm decided I'm going to play the Biden gaffes at the end.
Which makes a lot of sense because, you got, here's Trump.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to you. But you're not David Brooks, who's posing as a Republican apologist.
I'm sorry. I should have known better.
He's a harsh Democrat.
Yes. What am I thinking?
So let's listen to the way he handles pretty much the same kind of. And I would say that Biden is no different than Trump. He's also a pathological liar, and he's also full of crap. But it's different, apparently, with him.
A comparison here, but David, this week there was attention to Joe Biden because he's been telling a story about meetings he had with U.S. American veterans who were fighting in Iraq or Afghanistan, and telling a very emotional, compelling stories about pinning a medal on them, or, and how one was, retrieved a buddy from a burning vehicle and another one rappelled down a cliff and so forth. But it turns out out these are different things that happen jumbled together with some, there's been, some are saying this should be connected and compared to the president. Others saying in no way.
Oh, I think in no way. I mean, Biden may be aging, and maybe that's an issue. I think it's a legitimate issue for voters to think about. But he's not mendacious. He's not irresponsible. He may embellish a story to improve its dramatic effect. And he may be forgetting things. Our memories are just much more fallible than we think. Every memory expert will tell you that. And when you're on the campaign trail doing thousands of events, traveling everywhere, things get jostled in your mind. So it could be just the normal jostling of campaign. And for some reason, we've gotten into a pattern where Biden gaffe is the story.
Yeah. Okay, well, the one he did that I think that they're referring to here was pretty amazing. I mean, it was five stories put together. It was great.
Yeah, I have, this is the deconstructed one. This is the Biden story deconstructed. It's the whole thing with some commentary, and I think they did a pretty good job on it. But I want to go back to what Brooks said. He's getting old and maybe he's making mistakes and maybe he's too busy, not as if Trump isn't. And, he makes these little errors and it doesn't mean anything. And man, if you just swapped out the words Trump and Biden and those two pieces and flipped them back and forth, you can do just the opposite. You could say just the opposite. He's just trying to lie to us so he can make himself look better. The story about him giving the medals to the guys because Brooks, that thing goes on longer, and he says, well, Biden never lies to make himself look better like Trump does.
What?
And that's all he does.
That's exactly what he does.
It is disgusting.
So does Brian Williams at MSNBC. So does Hillary Clinton under fire. I mean,
yeah.
And you know what? I'm sure I do it myself sometimes.
But I'm more disgusted by PBS allowing this guy to continue with this two-faced kind of approach to news analysis. This is not helping anybody. It's just fanning the flames as far as I'm concerned. But let's listen to the long Biden story deconstructed clip.
When you put your money in the bank, just sit there. It goes out in the world and...
What?
Well, that's a commercial you recorded.
It's a powerful story former Vice President Joe Biden tells on the campaign trail, including just 6 days ago. But according to the Washington Post, it's actually a story that's made up of 3 different events that Biden has conflated into a single incident. Take a listen.
I've been in and out of Afghanistan and Iraq over 30 times. I pinned medals on, silver stars on soldiers up in the upper Konar Valley in the middle of a firestorm the poor guys have gone through. Young Navy captain, Navy, up in the mountains in the Konar Valley in Afghanistan. One of his buddies got shot, fell down a ravine about 60 feet. 4-star general asked me whether I'd go up into the fob. Now everybody got concerned, the vice president going up in the middle of this, but we can lose a vice president. We can't lose many more of these kids. Not a joke.
No.
This guy climbed down a ravine, carried this guy up on his back under fire, and the general wanted me to pin the silver star on him. I got up there and stand. This is God's truth. My word is a Biden. He stood at attention.
Hold on. I hadn't heard that. My word as a Biden. Okay. And by the way, for those who are wondering, FOB is forward operating base. And those are no joke to get to. So, yes. But his word is, I think I need to do that. Did you take that cookie? My word is a Biden. I did not.
Yeah, I should have clipped it out.
Yeah.
I got up there and stand. This is God's truth. My word is a Biden. He stood at attention. I went to pin him. I said, sir, I don't want the damn thing. Do not pin it on me, sir. Please, sir. Do not do that. He died. He died.
The Washington Post found that Biden was a senator, not the vice president, when he visited Kunar province, Afghanistan, in 2008. The service member honored in that instance was an Army specialist, not a Navy captain, and Biden did not pin the medal on him. Biden did award the Bronze Star to then Staff Sergeant Chad Workman in 2011 for his heroic actions in Afghanistan. Biden responded to the Charleston Post and Courier late this afternoon, saying, quote, I don't understand what they're talking about, but the central point is it was absolutely accurate what I said. The story was that he refused the medal because the fella tried to save and risked his life saving, died. That's the beginning, middle, and end. The rest of you guys can take it and do what you want with it.
No, brother Joe.
Yeah, that's bad. But my favorite one, though, I know it's a very short clip, but my favorite Biden gaffe, which is another one of this, just a flub, which Trump does too. But this is my all-time favorite so far.
And these kids who come and they end up doing well, they become Americans before a lot of Americans become Americans. No, I'm serious. They get in school. They do well. They contribute to the community. They contribute to the country.
Yeah, bend over. Here comes.
Clip of the
day. They're time shifters, I tell you. These kids are fabulous. They're great. I'm serious. I swear, my word is a Biden. Brooks was on Book TV. You know, I'm writing my book, so I got to get into the vibe of stuff, and I'm watching Book TV to see what my fellow authors are up to. So Brooks is pushing a new Brooks book. And I clipped it for you because you're always bitching about Brooks. And just so I understand, he is a Republican, right?
No.
Oh, I thought he was a Republican.
He pretends to be a Republican, and he's on that thing to balance the Republican-Democrat.
But he's not a proclaimed Republican.
As far as I know, he's not a registered Republican, and I believe he once said he was a registered Democrat.
Well, I got this clip just for you. I thought you'd get a kick out of it, so I hope you do.
So you spend a lot of time on television talking about politics, and when you were writing your column, and you are writing it still, you were fairly critical of, I think it was candidate Trump, maybe it's President Trump, I can't remember. You were critical of maybe both. So what is your view on the likelihood of President Trump will get reelected?
I have actually a cheerier view than a lot of my Democratic friends. I think the guy's at 40%, and he's offended 60%. I mean, I take it stupidly. That's not good. And so I'm more optimistic that he will lose than a lot of the Democrats I hang around with.
When you write any critical articles of him, do you ever hear from him? Does he ever call you and say, I don't like that article? Or
no, he used to tweet about me, but I've never had any contact with him. I'm very happy not to. I really don't want to be in the same room with the guy.
Okay, and so what is your view on the likelihood the Democrats will retain control of the House or get control of the Senate?
I do think the Democrats, when we see what I think is a pretty big advantage for the Democrats, of course, knowing the party, the main question is, I wonder how they're going to find a way to screw this up. And so if I were advising the Democrats, which I'm sure is advice they'd love to get, I would say just go with the bland. Like, the number one job is to get Trump out of office.
So he's a never Trumper. That's really what he is.
The never Trumper wants to get him out of, and he wouldn't even go. He wouldn't want to be in the same room with the guy. What kind of a reporter? This is the kind of reporting and reporters and columnists that we have at the highest levels now. They don't want to be in the same room with the guy. These are the same types of people.
New York Times.
Yeah, and these are the same kind of people that say, "Oh, WikiLeaks, they should be shut down." Because heaven forbid they dig up stuff that we can use in news stories.
John, you're just not evolved.
Yeah, apparently not.
That's your problem.
I know.
You're
I should
not
be more
evolved.
upset by stickers.
I have a multi-parter I'd like to fit in before our next break. It's about Big Pharma. And you'll like it because it's about schooling, public school and homeschooling. And this is from another podcast, and it may bring a couple of things around. Clearly, Joe has some mental issues. Certainly, Trump has behavioral issues. This is Behavioral Health and Mental Health Week on the No Agenda Show. But what's going on with our kids? And this may also kind of come around to some of these school shootings. What is really happening with them? So on the Addiction podcast, which I don't subscribe to, one of our producers sent this to me, got time codes. They weren't exactly what I wanted, but I was able to skirt around and pull out some good clips. They interviewed Barbie Rivera, who was a public school teacher for 28 years ago, and she now runs a private school, which is really a homeschool for a few kids in her community. But she starts off talking about, and this is 28 years ago, about her own son. And this may ring true for a number of people who are listening to the show right now.
29 years ago, a certified teacher told my first grader
told me about my first grader that he was mentally handicapped and he needed to be drugged. And I was like, I can't believe that that's the solution. No tutoring, no extra work, nothing. But they were already with the list of medications that he should go on.
Now, of course, we know what this medication is because we've talked about it for at least 10 years. Ritalin is what was the big thing 28 years ago. Your kid, and it's always the boys, he's a little annoying. He's running around like a nut job. Well, we need to do something. And here's her take on it.
By the end of first grade, the certified establishment taught my son that he was stupid. And my son, at the time, I mean, he's bilingual. I don't speak 2 languages. My son spoke 2 languages fluently. He could go anywhere with anybody. He never had a meltdown in the grocery store. He did his chores. It was like a perfect little boy who used to run around in a cape, and he's going to grow up to be a superhero firefighter, and on and on.
Yeah, put that kid on drugs.
Which is what I think a little boy, that's what you expect of a little boy.
Exactly.
And then he was just shut down. And it was interesting because I looked at him and I'm like, oh my God, if I don't do something, he's going to be on drugs when he's 13, 14, 15. Like, I saw it because I have betrayed my son. I sent him to a place that I did great with. I did great in public school 100 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
You know, the teachers loved me. There was no drugging. There was no homework when you're in kindergarten. None of that nonsense. But my son had a different experience. So I took him out of school, and it took me 2 years to get my son back.
And not that he was taken away from her, but just to have him detox from the Ritalin. So she starts her own private school, home school, and she has kids coming to her from the community. Listen to what happened to them.
Now I've been doing this for 28 years. My home school is now an accredited private school in Florida. Small, but we're out there. And the majority of the kids in my school have been on Ritalin, Prozac, Adderall, Intunev, and I'm talking, I have spoken to children who are 5 who have been on Prozac for 2.5 years of their lives. Prozac. And I'm like, what are we doing with a 2.5-year-old? Like, what are we doing? And you can see it. Like, when a 5-year-old comes into my office, I mean, my name is Barbie, so I have a Barbie doll in my office. The normal 5-year-old wants the toys, the stickers, all of these things. And when you have a 5-year-old who comes in that there's a shell of a body, what medication? Oh, how can you tell? I'm like, how can you not?
I mean, that's 5-year-old on Prozac. That's pretty bad. But
well, especially since they started at 2.5, which I think is, they should just make it illegal. The drug contraindications on the package, you're not supposed to give any of this stuff to anyone under 18.
So here's the kicker. So what happens when she's running this little school and the drug companies are interested in her children? This to me was, I mean, I've heard this happening with doctors. But educators?
Now that I have a private school, I am on the list of the drug companies.
Right.
And every year, 1, 2, 3 times a year, they come to my school. Now I'm going to call somebody out, which could get me in trouble. But Florida International University is a university about 20 minutes away from my school.
Right.
They are funded $32 million on several different drug studies on children. $32 million. When Intunev was on the market, FIU was doing a drug study because before the drug can go public, they have to do drug studies. So they need kids. So they go to the daycares, the private schools, the charter schools, the after-school programs, the public schools, and they come with their little briefcases and they come with their brochures. And I think it was 2007, I could be wrong on the date, but it was around then, that Intunev was coming out. And there was 3 levels of participation for this drug study offered to me, the principal. The first level was for every name, address, and phone number I submitted to the drug study, I would get $100 cash. The cash could be to me personally because I own the school, or to the school because, let's face it, Barbara, you're in a shopping center. It's small and it's ugly. Quote. quote.
So we'll give you $100 for every student.
For every name, address, not student, every name. Like if I have your address, I submit it, I get $100. The second level of participation was if I fill out a mental health checklist.
Yes.
I've talked about this before. This is the mailing list. This is the value of a name and address.
Unbelievable, yeah.
So it just varies from $10 to $100.
Wait for it.
Address, I submit it, I get $100. The second level of participation was if I fill out a mental health checklist on the children. And there was about 57 stipulations. Can't cut with scissors. 3 years old, can't cut with scissors. Like, I don't give my 35-year-old scissors in my house. Come on. Right? I'm kidding. My son Damon is going to murder me, right? Anyway, so if I do a mental health checklist on my students and turn it in, I get $500 per mental health checklist. If I sit with you and I get you to put your son, your daughter, or your grandchild on this drug, I get $5,000 per child.
This is unbelievable.
Nice.
Hey, exit strategy is what I'm thinking.
Which is drug everybody.
By the way,
I thought it was interesting that earlier in her little discussion, she talked about compulsory homework in kindergarten.
I think that's the norm. Yeah, I think I've heard of this. Yeah, I've heard of this. Sure.
That is insane.
More insane than getting paid $5,000 for narking a kid?
$5,000 a pop. Yeah, if you have 100, that's a lot of money. If you have 200 students, there's $1 million.
Well, wait a minute. So can't we get? I mean, we have
2,000 students. Sorry.
How many people do we have on the no agenda mailing list? Like
we have.
It's not that. 18, it's not huge. 18,000.
18 to 19,000, yeah.
How many of those have kids that are eligible for a program?
All of them.
Okay, good. So can we send out forms and have them just sign it and send it back, and then we'll split the difference with our producers?
If they hadn't, if these people had never listened to the show, they'd be glad to do it. But
oh my goodness,
we've actually, we've cleared the deal.
This should be outlawed. How can this take place? I find that disturbing. I know they push it on doctors and give them all kinds of incentives, but school teachers, principals, how many principals are on the take?
Probably.
I think this needs to be investigated. This is really a problem. And
yeah, this is the same problem that was caused by these pharma companies that were pushing heroin or OxyContin.
Yes. Actually,
same thing.
I actually have a clip here. This is from NPR. This is an expert from Stanford Law about the opioid crisis and these companies that are now being sued. A very interesting take from Stanford.
Is part of the challenge here that there are people who successfully use opioid painkillers and rely on them?
I think that is part of the challenge. You know, sometimes we get caught up in the culpable behavior of a drug company, as, you know, maybe we should, but we have to remember that at their heart, they make products that we want.
Oh.
We want these companies to continue in business because not only do we want their opioids, we want the other products that they make, and we need those products. This is not like a Juul or a tobacco company where we might think, well, the world might be better off if they weren't in business. No, we need these companies to stay in business. The question is how to use the law to
Juul.
Well, I think she's trying to show what's on the horizon for the new big tobacco being fought by big pharma. Apparently, Stanford's all in.
Tobacco company where we might think, well, the world might be better off if they weren't in business. No, we need these companies to stay in business. The question is how to use the law to send incentives to behave responsibly while they're making those products.
Yeah. As you watch these opioid cases move through the legal system, do you think justice is on its way to being done?
I think it probably is. The verdict in the Johnson & Johnson trial really suggests that the theories that the plaintiffs put forward are going to be applicable to all the other claims that they're bringing in these other lawsuits. The real question for me is what will that money end up being used for, and how do we ensure that it goes toward addressing the problem that the litigation was intended to address?
Do you have an answer to that question?
We know from the tobacco litigation that particularly in times of recession or when state budgets are straining, the temptation to raid these honeypots can just be overwhelming. We know from tobacco that in most states, very little of that money actually ended up going towards tobacco use prevention and treatment. So, media watchdogs can help, consumer watchdog groups can help ensure it, but the courts aren't going to be involved in administering how those settlement funds are used, so it remains really an open question whether they will be used in the way that they're supposed to be.
So there's a big push everywhere. This is just, hey, okay, these guys were bad, but they make products we want, so we can't sue them out of existence. And Fox News, clearly run by Democrats, as I've always said, is all on board. If it wasn't Tucker Carlson with his narc saying that school shootings are caused by kids smoking weed, no. Let's go back to Fox. They're all on the anti-weed train now.
Federal health officials are issuing a national warning against marijuana use by adolescents and pregnant women. Surgeon General Jerome Adams says the science shows marijuana is harmful to the developing brains of teenagers and to the human fetus. He also says marijuana is getting stronger.
Today's marijuana is far more potent than in days past. The amount of THC, the component responsible.
What?
I said this is news? They're reporting that this is news?
This is breaking news.
The amount of THC, the component responsible for euphoria and intoxication, but also for most of marijuana's documented harms, has increased.
Documented harms? All I've heard from the government all my life is we haven't tested it sufficiently. Now we have documented harms. But wait, there's a slogan.
Marijuana's documented harms has increased 3 to 5-fold over the last few decades. This ain't your mother's marijuana.
That's the Surgeon General of the United States. This ain't your mother's marijuana.
Wow.
I mean, come on.
By the way, I missed it. You nailed it. They have made a fuss over not being able to do any research whatsoever because the hoops you have to jump through to be able to even get some marijuana to research it is outrageous. All the research has been done in Israel. Yeah. And the Israeli guy who's the head of it, he says that he's never documented any harm. So this is the lies.
The warning comes as legal marijuana has grown into a $10 billion industry in the U.S., with nearly 2/3 of states legalizing it, mainly for medical use.
So I think that where they're moving is towards regulation of amount of THC. That's what it feels like to me. I think there are already some guidelines or maybe even strict guidelines for medical marijuana, but they're going to want to, they're going to want to determine how much THC is in your weed. Already, most people that I talk to in California and Oregon, they say that the store-bought weed is shit. They already don't think it's very good. So I'm not sure exactly what the message is here or what they're trying to do. But more control is obviously where it will be headed, because this ain't your mother's marijuana, which is stolen from your daddy's Oldsmobile commercial. It's pathetic.
It is pathetic.
It's a plant, ladies and gentlemen. It's a flower.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have a few people to thank for show 1169 for helping us get this thing off the ground, producing it. Starting with Sir Daddy Cast of the Love House.
Daddy Cast.
9119. We offered the palindrome today. It was the first palindrome, the first great palindrome of the year, a reasonable number, 91.1991, September 1st, 2019. And Sir Daddy Cast of the Love House took the donation and ran with it. And that was it for that fine promotion.
We had exactly one winner, ladies and gentlemen. And it's got to be Sir Daddy Cass. It's got to be the I think was it P Love, whatever, originally his name?
Yeah, something.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sir Daddy Cass, for participating.
Yeah. James Casheen in Cashburn, Virginia, 5569. Happy birthday, Adam. He's got a birthday call out for someone. Robert Bruckner, 5555. This is a short list, by the way. Nate Mooseman, 5541. Happy birthday, and a shout out to he's got for my smoking hot Don, and
Mr. Adam Curry. Oh, everyone's September 3rd.
September 3rd is a big. Something was going on 9 months earlier. Michael asked.
Can I tell you what it was? What happened 9 months earlier, or a little bit more than that? When was Kennedy shot?
He was shot November 3rd, I believe.
1963.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? You go 9 months further.
Yeah, but all these people aren't the same age. I'm just saying something happened. Well,
how do you know?
Age,
how do you know?
Well, I just believe it. They're not.
Okay. All right. You're the one that said something happened for the baby boom, so
I think there's something happened. Maybe for that 1 year, it could have been Kennedy being shot. Oh, let's have sex. Kind of weird to me, but okay.
Hey, I wasn't around, so I don't know how people felt. Maybe people wanted to feel close to one another. All right. Well, you know what you were not doing then?
Michael asked Falk, 5533. Sir Christopher Barron of Brown County in DePere, Wisconsin, which has I should be pronouncing that correctly, 5510, double nickels on the dime. Tim Lang, double nickels on the dime from Mount Prospect, Illinois.
He needs a Jobs Karma, which we'll do. We'll do a Jobs Karma.
Something for the end for you. Yep. Mm-hmm. Aaron Chamberlain, double nickels on the dime from Dayton, Ohio. Still needs a de-douching. He's been waiting and waiting.
You've been de-douched.
There you go. De-douched on demand.
Which reminds me, I do have a note to read before we go on to the other stuff, which would apply here. Aaron Chamberlain, Dame Rachel, 55.
So these are birthday wishes. These are birthday wishes for me, which was our other promotion.
Oh, these are all the birthday ones from here on out. Dame Rachel starts it off. 55. This gimmick worked because it's cheaper.
It's cheaper than your birthday.
Well, it's cheaper than my birthday, but it's also cheaper than 91.19.
Best wishes to Adam on his birthday. Just wanted to send a note about the meetup I'm hosting September 20th at the St. Anne Wine Bar in Mandeville, Louisiana. Pronounced Mandeville. It's right across the lake from New Orleans. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for the birthday wishes.
And the following people all donated $55 and all wished Adam a happy birthday. Kevin McLaughlin, Syrup. Brian Moss in Rancho Santa Margarita. Sir Code Monkey, Sir Marcus of the Hinterland, Lauren Bush in Blackwood. Robert Verderber. Bart Bartons. Jacob Honan. Carl Lindner, Harvey Smith, Sir Slotcar, Baron of all Podunks. Sorry?
Yeah, Podunks. I was just reading along.
Podunks. The Baron of all Podunks. Carl Schneider in Lake Bay, Washington. MacBook Pro. It's about time the MacBook Pro
I've been looking for the MacBook Pro.
He's in Thibodeau for some reason.
Is the MacBook Pro related to Maxine Waters Gravel?
Maybe. Huh. But Maxine Waters Gravel does not live in Thibodeau.
Oh, okay.
Kaylin Nistor in Northville. Robert Kerbach in Essexville. James Murray in Huntington Beach. Sir Woody O' the Falls. Survive of the virtual reality. Sonia Bosenberg. Danny Haynes. And he's in Greystanes in Australia. Haiko Santama.
Halco.
That's a...
Yeah, it's misspelled. Halco Santama.
Sir Dumas of the Black Swamp. Sir Pete. Oh, that's it. That was the group. That was the end. Sir Dumas was the last. Oh. Onward with the regular donations.
Well, thank you, everybody, and I look forward to celebrating on Tuesday. It's going to be glorious.
Sir Pete comes in with 5432. Stephen King, not of that Stephen King, but the one in Charlotte, North Carolina, also has a birthday call out for Peter Lawson. Nancy Murphy in San Bruno, California, right over here, 5244. And then the following people are $50 donors, and there's not a lot of them. In fact, 3. Jeremy Cartwright in Rockford, Illinois, Sir Brian Watson in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Aichi Kitagawa in San Francisco, California. That's our group of producers and well-wishers for show 1169.
It is the model that few have been able to or have had the audacity to try. It's our value for value model. We see Jen Briney. We're waving at you. We know you're doing it. People are trying to get this off the ground in one form or the other, and we encourage that because it does work. It seems when you can't monetize the network any other way, you just have to resort to, I don't know, doing it with the people who are listening. Call them producers, because that's what they are. And
I want to read this note before we go into what you're going to do next. This is from Annie N., who sent us a donation. I was recently tried, but we never read anything, and she had a certain call out she wanted to do. I was recently traveling in the States with my niece. She is the best dad, according to the Mueller report. Mm-hmm. We were discussing the show, and I pulled out the interstate to get some gas, and I stopped at $33. We agreed it was time to donate. I would like this donation to go to my husband's knighthood. You do that with your bookkeeping. Eric Naus, as a gift for our recent 15th wedding anniversary. Now, there you go. With all my love from his smoking hot wife. He introduced me to the greatest podcast in the world about 3 years ago. It was the second best gift ever.
Aww.
Eric being the first. Thank you both for all you do to bring sanity, common sense, and truth to the insane and irrational world full of falsehoods. Your hard work and commitment is greatly appreciated by both of us and our extended family. Love and light and karma for all.
Yes, and thank you again to everyone who came in under $50. We stop at that amount because people like to remain anonymous and know they're going to be anonymous. If not, you have to say it in your note, and still can be risky. So under 50, which also includes some of our subscription programs. Please check them out and support the show so we can continue to go, so you can continue to listen to your podcast. All you have to do is go to one little simple URL. It's easy to remember. Your kids can even sing it.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Karma requests.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got Pharma.
It's your birthday on No Agenda.
And today is the 1st of September, 2019. Here's who's on the list. We have Emmett Paul Coddington, who turned 1 year old on the 30th. Brendan celebrating today, September 3rd. Brendan also wants to say happy birthday to his twin brother, who celebrates on the collective September 3rd, and his mother, Karen, who will be celebrating September 7th, and his friend Griff on September 11th. Dame 4NB4, 71 years old tomorrow. James Cashin says happy birthday to David. He's celebrating on the 4th. Nate Mosman, happy birthday to Smoking Hot Don Don. And Stephen King says happy birthday to Parker Lawson, celebrating on the 4th of September. And we say happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. Okay, do we have any title changes today? No. Let's do some nightings. I'm ready. We've got 1, 2, 3 nights. Yep, got it. Corey Turner, Brendan, and Brad Ledden. The three of you should come up here on the podium right next to the round table. You see them all. That's getting pretty full. It's the Knights and Dames of the No Agenda Round Table. And you, gentlemen, thanks to your support of the No Agenda Show in the amount of $1,000 or more, now enter that exclusive club. And I hereby pronounce the Sir Corey, Knight of the Como River, Sir BT, Dark Knight of the Morphogenetic Field, and Sir Bradley of Ledden. For you, we've got hookers and blow, rent boys and Chardonnay, warm beer and cold women, harlots and haldol, breast milk and pablum, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, bong hits and bourbon, and of course a nice helping of mutton and mead. It's everybody's favorite here at the round table. You three gentlemen, brand new knights, head over to noagendanation.com/rings. Eric the Shield will take care of you right away and get those out to you. And again, thank you for supporting the best podcast in the universe.
No Agenda Meetup.
That's right, the meetups. It's a party. First, we start with a report from the Victoria, BC meetup in the morning. John and Adam, says Sir Stephen. The Victoria meetup on August 18th was a success. We had about 10 people altogether, even a baby. Interestingly, we had one person from Washington, D.C., and another from Russia. Clearly, certain three-letter agencies are taking a big interest in our little meetup. I've attached a picture. I believe
a lot of these meetups are as a spook.
Well, why not?
Well, I would be keeping tabs on these meetups.
Of course. I've attached a picture, see if you can spot all the spooks. I think everybody had a good time, enjoyed talking to each other for a few hours about a variety of topics, including obscure techno and how we can get John to come here. We even toyed with the idea of moving the Victoria meetup to Port Angeles, Washington.
I'd rather go to Victoria.
Yeah, I hear you.
Honest about it.
Sir John
better bars.
Sir John Overall has offered to plan the next meetup for Saturday, September 28th from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Phillips Tasting Room. Thank you for your courage. And thank all of you for your courage. It's beautiful. These meetups, it's just incredibly nice to see how that is happening. In these days of nut job discourse all over social, just splattering all over social networks, to have face-to-face communication without worrying if you're going to trigger someone or step on someone's toes, and just also to listen to what someone else has to say is a lot of fun. We don't benefit from it one way or the other, except its legacy, I think, and its legacy for the people who've made this show possible and continue to do so. This is really bigger than us, and I love that, and so we'll continue to promote these meetups for as long as we can. I have let me see. I have the latest list here that I got from the back office from Mimi. So here's what's coming up. September 5th in Seattle. That's their monthly meetup at the Canterbury Ale House. Starts at 7:30 p.m. and Patrick organizes that. September 6th, the first Calgary meetup. This is the Stampede going on? I think they said it was. Not sure.
Know. I don't keep up with the Stampede. I'd love to go to that, though.
Yeah, I've been once. I had a good time. 4:30 p.m., and that will be at the Wild Rose Tap Room, and Sir Michael of Calgary in Vegas is taking care of that. September 7th, this is our Zurich late summer meetup, 6:15 Central European Summertime. Just like last time in April, we'll meet up again, this time a different location. If the Heads on a Stick PDFs are available, yes, they are downloadable now from noagendameetups.com. If you're in the Zurich area, if you're in the Zurich metro area, head over to Rivington and Sons Bar, and that's in Prime Tower, Hauptstraße 201, Zurich. And your host for that is Rolf. September 11th, that is in Orlando, 6 o'clock p.m. This will be the meetup at Grumpy's Underground Lounge and Eatery. Christian Coffins is the arranger for that. The 14th of September, El Paso, Las Cruces. That'll be 2:30 in the afternoon. Since there are probably only 3 of us here in El Paso, Las Cruces area, I can be flexible on date, time, place, want to get something on the calendar. That is Jen Jackson, who is organizing this. Venue is still TBD, so hop on noagendameetups.com to participate in where you'd like that to be. And then we have September 14th, Pittsburgh, Riverhounds Game and Station Square at 6 o'clock. That's at the Highmark Stadium, and Sir Ryan Brady is your host. Still on the horizon, September 20th, Manville, Louisiana, Nelson, British Columbia, Oregon Local 33, Southeast London number 4. Meetup is now new and improved. September 21st, the Shills of Eastern North Carolina in Gardner, North Carolina. There'll be a meetup in Minneapolis, Arlington, Virginia. On the 26th in Luxembourg, also Las Vegas at Hooters. September 27th, San Antonio, Victoria, BC, once again. Havre de Grace in Maryland, and Copenhagen, round 2, all on the 28th. This is just, I'm blown away by how cool this is, you guys getting together with each other and just being humans. Being humans. NoAgendaMeetups.com. Jesse Coy Nelson was so excited. He made a song about our meetups. I thought it was so bad I needed to share it, if you don't mind.
Living politically correct all day sure can give you grief. Taking a break from triggering worries would be a great relief. Sometimes you want to find a place where you can express any opinion you damn well please. without being treated like a pariah who's diseased. You wanna be where free thinkers, they're all around. You wanna be at a no agenda meetup in your town.
That's right, yes.
No agenda meetups. You can even bring your cat.
I'll play the whole thing end of show.
He should probably, do a rendition of social media.
You mean Let's Get Social?
Let's Get Social, yeah. He should do that. He's got the right voice for it.
Yeah, Mary McCormick would love it. Hey, thanks, everybody. And thank you also for the support. In more ways than one.
Yes.
Okay.
And so what do you got to wrap? I got a couple of things I want to get out of the way. First of all, we need to talk a little bit about the Brexit thing, which is getting funnier.
Oh, yes. Do tell. What you got?
Well, I got the general report from PBS, which is just Brexit news. It's a short clip, but we can actually skip that clip because there's nothing there we don't know about, to the longer, actually more in-depth report, which is the NewsHour in-depth on Brexit clip.
The United Kingdom is counting down to Brexit, their exit from the European Union. With Parliament facing suspension, court cases in the works, and protests like today's likely to continue, National Public Radio correspondent Frank Langford joins us now via Skype from London for more on this developing story. The protests that we're seeing seem to be growing, and they seem to be not just limited to London anymore.
No, we saw them in Glasgow, in Oxford, Liverpool, other cities around the country. They weren't that big today, and I think as we get closer to the October 31st date, when the country could crash out of the EU with no deal at all, I think you'll see them grow.
This isn't just the people who are, well, I guess, in the opposition party who are pushing back at what Boris Johnson did. Over the past couple of days, we've seen current members of the Conservative Party, as well as previous ones.
You do, and I think you have rebel members of the Tory party who also object to this. And then a lot of the objection is to the principle. We have a parliament that's sitting here. Boris Johnson is maybe going to give them as little as 5 days to come back and try to mount a way of stopping him from taking the country out with no deal. The majority of the parliament is against this. They're on record being against this. So the idea that Boris Johnson is trying to curtail their time and power really strikes, it's a much bigger issue than just Brexit. It really strikes at, many people feel, the representative nature of the democracy in the country.
Now, similar to the United States, you've got people who support this. It's a very sort of divided or divisive issue. You went out to kind of what's called the Midlands, what we might think of as the red states, people who support leaving the European Union, right?
Yeah, it's really Brexit country. And I got to say, Hari, it's like having a parallel conversation, like in a different country. When I was up in a town called Boston, for which Boston, Massachusetts is named, what everybody was telling me, this has been going on for more than 3 years. We feel that these anti-Brexit members of parliament are trying to defy the results of the 2016 referendum. And they say they're the ones who are being anti-democratic, not us. So people are looking at this issue right now through completely different lenses in this country.
And so when do we get the do-over? I'm ready.
Well, the protest is I think they're working on angles. In other words, they're trying different things to see what sticks to when they get the public to get jacked. I mean,
they don't
have a lot of time left. They got the month of September, which just started today.
But here's what I'm curious about, and maybe some of our lawyer producers can help out. What exactly determines the exit? Is there a piece of paper that is there an exit interview? Is there a piece of paper that has to be signed? Is there just something that's like, okay, what is it? Is it one signature, or what is the deal? Or you just say, we're done, we're not paying, see you later? Is it like a real breakup? I just wonder. Are they effectively not? Is it just a matter of him saying we're done? The legality of it. Is there paperwork?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Is there paperwork?
You don't need to change your tone of voice into different things to maybe make me understand. I have no idea. I think this is a question you're right. Somebody needs to ask. It's never explained on these shows.
Now you've really made me self-conscious.
Well, you were working me.
I feel like it's my job.
But you were working me for no good reason, because I have no idea.
Well, see,
you can beg me to tell you the answer, but I still can't tell you the answer.
Well, why not?
Well, I don't know.
You have all the answers.
You got to crack your voice better.
You have all the answers. Yeah, I can't.
This is actually now you got me wondering.
This is why I was using different tones of voice.
Possibly, you ring a bell.
That's what it is. or can you just do it?
Well, it's like the Muslim. It's like a Muslim divorce in the Middle East.
You just say it 3 times.
You turn your back on your wife and you do something, and then she's done. She's out.
Or is it like a hotel where you can do electronic the quick checkout on the TV?
It might be like a hotel because they have already done an extended stay.
Yes.
Can I get a late checkout?
I want a late checkout. Yes.
Not in that room because that room has got to be ready. Okay, we can give you to 1, but we can't give you to 3. Can you get out by 1?
Yeah, exactly. I maybe someone knows. I mean, or is it just if all it takes is Bojo, BJ
making a proclamation?
Yeah, just to say, hey, we're done.
Why doesn't he do it now?
I don't know. Yeah, he could. Interesting. I only have one. Well, I have a couple quick non-clip updates.
You have anything funny?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Prince Andrew's lawyers are now claiming that the photo of him at Epstein's mansion is probably fake. It's a deep fake.
How long has that photo been in play?
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Oh, it's completely... No, that's fake. No, there's no evidence. No evidence whatsoever. There is one other name I want to bring to our attention. And actually a couple of names. Because now there's word of the Epstein associate no one's talking about. And her name is... She's a German-born ex-model. What is her name now? Yeah, here we go. Nicole Junkermann.
Never heard of her.
No, but she was in a group that included Epstein and Ehud Barak, who, of course, we also saw in probably a fake photo. They had an app that they were creating that they wanted to... I guess they were working with the 911 system in the U.S., and this app, if there was an issue, then it would send, if you had a problem, you needed 911, you click the app, it sends like your entire life, your address book, your location, all of that stuff to the system, which seems like a great tracking mechanism. Mm-hmm. She also, in 2002, her company acquired the FIFA World Cup rights in Germany. So she's a player. Like the television rights.
Okay.
So now people are looking at her and what was she doing? She's also on the flight manifest. I don't have anything more than just that's an interesting name.
Yeah, there you go again. This is the thing that bothers me the most.
What?
The guilt by association.
I'm just telling you what's being reported. I didn't say someone's guilty.
I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming the people that are reporting this now.
Well, you were changing your tone with me, trying to make me...
I was.
Okay.
I should talk like this.
So, yeah, I'll do Freddy the Firewall. This is just another data point. Is Freddy the Firewall offensive to you?
I didn't realize it until people started objecting to it, and I started actually listening to it.
Oh, okay.
And I realized that it was the worst thing ever.
Okay. Epstein has a ranch in New Mexico, the Zorro Ranch.
Okay, this is actually a good point because go on, and I'm going to confirm what you're saying.
Well, all I wanted to.
Why aren't they over there looking at this place?
They were very close just about a year ago. Do you remember the observatory in New Mexico that closed? And at first it was, maybe they saw aliens. It's the Sunspot Solar Observatory. And
no, I don't know anything
closed
about
for 11 days in September. Yes, you do. You just forgot because we talked about it on the show.
Invited.
So it's right below on the map, right underneath the Zorro Ranch. And after these days of it being closed and no one knew what was going on, it turns out that some employee there was nailed for child pornography. right by the Epstein ranch. I know it's guilt by association. I'm just saying. And the ranch was never raided. Don't even know if they've even been in there.
Yeah, I know. That baffles me the most, and people keep bringing it up.
Yeah. But
why don't they just go check it out? Get a warrant? Just, the guy's a criminal. He's dead.
No. Listen. No one killed him. He hung himself. The camera was broken.
Two cameras
were broken. Some of the footage was unusable. What is your problem? Don't you understand?
The guards were asleep.
It's a big nothing burger. There's nothing to see here. Yeah. No, we're stupid. In fact, I think the population is literally stupid. Like, okay, it's probably a cover-up. Move on. They don't care. No one cares anymore.
Well, it's not like their business.
No, true. And then do I have anything to play for you?
Well, I got one that I want to get out of the way.
Okay, let's do that.
I just thought this was a silly story. This is a silly story. Anything about, a bar or your buddy.
Bill Barr.
He's going to throw a party. He's going to pay for it, and everybody's all bent out of shape about this.
Excuse me, why is Bill Barr my buddy?
He's not?
No.
Oh.
I told you, this guy is cleaning up for other people. If anything, he's obfuscating stuff, and he's protecting people. He was involved in cleanup of Iran-Contra.
IT report came out. I didn't buy into that until now.
Oh, this guy's a total cleanup artist. Mueller couldn't do it. He couldn't cut it. Mueller is over the hill. He's got the Biden stuff going on. Woo, kook. You saw it. It's sad. It was a sad sayonara for the guy. So Barr has to take care of it. Protect whoever he needs to protect. It seems as clear as day. Comey, bad boy, move along, please. Okay. Yes, what about him?
Well, Barr's got a party. He's going to do a party. I just thought this story was so stupid. It was not played by the mainstream, which surprises me, but it was played on Democracy Now! Because, they're all against all things Trump.
The Washington Post is reporting Attorney General William Barr is planning a $30,000 holiday party at Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. The event is reportedly not an official Justice Department party and will be paid for directly by Barr, critics say, although the event would not be a legal violation. It skirts an ethical line. Maryland and the District of Columbia previously argued in a lawsuit foreign governments and other entities patronize the Trump Hotel in order to curry favor with the president, putting other businesses at a disadvantage, a violation of the Emoluments Clause.
No. Wait, you're incorrect because the mainstream did play it because I have the same report from MSNBC. Let's get their take on it. I wonder if it'll be different.
I doubt it.
And this falls into the category of just looking weird. The Attorney General, Bill Barr, apparently booked Trump's D.C. hotel for a 200-person holiday party in December that could have revenue attached to it of $30,000. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I know people are going to say this is highly inappropriate, but it doesn't even pass the smell test. It's just weird. And there's a lot of hotels in D.C. where you can have a party.
Yeah, Allie, a person who works at the Justice Department who wasn't speaking officially because, again, this is the Attorney General's private party and not a Justice Department event. That Justice Department official said that the reason he selected the Trump Hotel a few blocks from the White House is because the other big hotels, fancy hotels in downtown Washington, were booked. It doesn't break a law. As you say, it's just kind of weird, but there would have been another option here, which is just don't have the party this year.
Right. There's a lot of stuff that falls into the just kind of weird category these days.
Wait a minute. They didn't bring up Emoluments Clause. How wrong is that?
I'm surprised they didn't. But the other thing is, since they kind of said, he said they were all booked, that's why they had to do it at the Trump. In other words, they checked every place else out. Did she confirm that by calling them one of the hotels and saying, are you guys booked for this day? But just so they can do some actual reporting instead of just sitting there and blathering? No. She didn't do that, did she? Now, the whole thing is like, it's also possible that Trump just gave him a deal.
I would think so.
Yeah, you're working for the guy who owns the hotel.
I mean, but honestly, Barr is stupid. Why would he do this? Trump is stupid too. And the next G7, let's have it at the Doral. I mean, it may be the best place. Your people may have found that to be the perfect spot. It's better than anywhere else, top world class. But you're a moron for doing that.
I disagree.
Really? No, yeah. I think it's sometimes you gotta just do
maybe good distraction material.
Well, it's going to be great for the show, but it puts everybody in a foul mood.
And if they didn't do it at that place, or they didn't do the party at all, like was the option that MSNBC had, guy wants to have a party. I don't know why. I've done parties, and you do parties when you feel like it.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't do the party. He does do the party. I don't see at this point what difference does it make.
Okay, and time to leave now, because now we're quoting Hillary Clinton. Although you left out. Well, you did put in this point.
Yeah. Well, I did. I put it in at the wrong spot.
Yes, you did. You did. That's to throw us off, so you don't blow your cover. That, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, is our show for today. Of course, we look forward to seeing you again on the second Thursday of the week. That'll be 2 days after my birthday. And you should remember the show for that date for the Thursday by going to Dvorak.org/NA, supporting it. After all, it's your podcast, so we'd appreciate it if you can keep this going. And, well, you never know what will happen. Today's show day. All bets are off. Anything could take place. And I'm coming
to you. It's a holiday.
And it's a holiday. Now I'm coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas. FEMA Region number 6 in the governmental maps is where you can find us. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Until then, remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's going to be a hot day, and for some reason the traffic is all jammed up again on this holiday, I'm John C. Dvorak.
Hog Story coming up next with Blame the Cats. Also thanks to Jesse Coy Nelson and Rulfie for our end of show mixes, as well as Sir Chris Wilson. Adios, mofos, and such.
Ausweisbiete.
We want you to dance, monkey boy.
You must comply. Must comply. Dance, monkey boy. You must comply. You must comply. Must comply.
I mean, everyone watches porn.
Living politically correct all day sure can give you grief. Taking a break from triggering worries would be a great relief. Sometimes you want to find a place where you can express any opinion you damn well please, without being treated like a pariah who's diseased. You want to be where free thinkers, they're all around. You want to be at a No Agenda meetup in your town. No Agenda meetups. You can even bring your cat. It's like a party. Grandma's okay, and even the service goat.
Don't laugh, Arlene. I ain't got time for that shit.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.
We plan with no agenda, if that makes sense.
Right.
We plan with no agenda, if that makes sense.
Right. It's like a party.
With no agenda, if that makes sense.
Right.
With no agenda, if that makes sense.
Right.
With no agenda, if that makes sense.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Podfather. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Adam. And thank you for your courage and such.
Best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Wow, I am really high.